All right, morning everyone. Welcome on this Sunday morning US time to another geopolitical stream from your host, Tone Vays. Let me mute that. And looks like we are good to go. I don't have anyone joining me today. Most of my co-hosts that randomly come on from my moderators, they all live out on the West Coast. And it is 8:30 in the morning on the West Coast. And last time I streamed this video like an hour later and they were all sleeping. So I fully expect them to still be sleeping. Maybe Motorist will jump on. Maybe Gary Garrettson would jump on. It's great when I have someone else here. Also, when I am going to try to keep an eye on your live chat, it does make it easier for someone to talk to someone else. So if any of my other moderators want to jump on the stream, DM me, and we can make that happen. All right, let's go to screen share. I don't have a lot of announcements. I'm still in Panama. I will be heading off to Rotan soon. And my pinned tweet in Twitter, you will know why I am heading off to Rotan. Now, way too early for a drink. I got my team. Oh, Bitcoin Mechanic is joining us. Awesome. Hey, brother.
Hey,
I'll
what's
wait
up,
for his
bro? How
camera
are
to
you?
start working. I see you are still in Canada. Dude, you are never up this early. What the hell is going on?
Well, we got a new cat last night.
I I knew there had to be some crazy weird reason.
How did you know?
You don't strike me as the kind of guy that wakes up at 7 in the morning. You're over on Pacific time as well.
You
Hope
know
that
what?
coffee is strong.
I like to get up around, I don't know, 8:30. That's around 8 o'clock. That's my sort of good time. It's like NVK says, man. I have kids. It's not up to me. Before I had kids, I would get up at like 3 in the afternoon, but I didn't even like that.
All right. So let's go take a look at the price of Bitcoin for 5-10 minutes. My main topic for the day is discussing the Trump attempted assassination. There is one other topic I will briefly touch on. I'm going to do a whole deep dive on this topic in January because I'm going to need December's data to really have a good understanding, but I'll tell you guys what it is, and you guys are welcome to do your own research on that topic. Okay. So over to screen share, since I do have mechanic, let's go and take a look if Ocean has mined a block tonight.
Found-
And
we
they
just
did. Holy shit.
we found one 3 hours ago.
Oh, all right. That's good. That is good. There it is. Any fees? God damn it. 4 sats per byte. That
The,
sucks.
the transaction fees are horrible right now. They're around like one and a
Yeah.
half percent of what the subsidy is. They're just irrelevant. 3 grand
Yeah.
in fees. 3 grand.
3 grand in fees.
Yeah, in transaction fees. You see where it says total fees.
Yep. Right there. I see it. Yep. 2921.
But I
Yep.
mean, and like,
Subsidy plus.
not to not to jump into Trump too quick, but did you see his son announced a MAGA token, which is Ethereum something, some crap that they're going to be talking about at the Nashville conference. Um,
Uh,
it's not
I
even a
mean,
shitcoin of Bitcoin. It's just a straight up shitcoin.
we can talk about that stuff as well. I have my opinions. Look, the good news is if Trump's family is into shitcoining, uh, at least we're legally safe, being Bitcoiners. There's always a bright side, right?
Yeah, as you say, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we can get into that. All right, well, congratulations, Ocean Mining Pool. Guys, if you guys are mining, strongly advise jumping on the Ocean Mining Pool. It is it's definitely the best pool out there, and it supports the network in a proper way. You may be mining at a loss every now and then, but it's totally worth it. At least put some of your hashing power onto it. If you're running 10, 20, 30 miners, throw 5 miners onto this pool, and help it grow. The moment this pool reaches critical mass of say 1 to 2% of the network, everyone is going to jump onto this pool because it is the pool everyone should be mining on. Okay. Pitch complete. I can promote shit all day, including the Unconfiscatable Conference and the Financial Summit. Let's quickly take a look at the bird's eye view of the price of Bitcoin. This is an incredible month. And if you look at how many Bitcoins the ETFs have been purchasing, not all the data is in for the week of the 19th that ended on Friday, July 19th. But so far this month, over 40,000 Bitcoin have been purchased by the ETF, and it's been 3 weeks, and in 3 weeks, we had 40,000 purchased Bitcoin. This is the third highest monthly purchase so far. We can challenge the 67,000. We still have 10 days to go, so a third to go. We can challenge the 67, and now that Germany has sold their 50,000 Bitcoin stash, that was almost fully eaten up by the ETFs. If another 20, 30,000 Bitcoin gets bought up till the end of the month, I can see the price of Bitcoin break into all new all-time highs. Absolutely. All right, Sand Snake, thanks so much for the super chat. Let me throw your question into my moderator chat, and I will cover it in a bit. Okay. So the monthly chart, bird's eye view, it's a beautiful little pullback here. I mean, ideally, I would rather have us break out next month, not this month. It will be a lot cleaner for a breakout. This is so the monthly chart already looks good. If we close anywhere in this vicinity, I would be incredibly bullish going into next month. My allocation chart, I added 50%. I'm going to talk about this on tomorrow's show on the Financial Summit Network. I added 50% back in as we were rallying back to 65,000. And then based on how quickly we were moving from 65,000 to 66,000, I added another 25%. I am 75% in. My average price is hovering a little over 65,000. It was really on this candle, but I just put it on the other candle for visibility purposes. It doesn't really matter. I have my little dot here at approximate price, above 65,000. That's where my circle is. Doesn't really matter which candle I put it on. It took place on current 4-day candle, which by the time we do the show tomorrow, will only be down to 9 hours. If tomorrow's candle, if the next candle starts breaking this dotted line, the long-term moving average would start to turn up, and that changes everything. I can easily go back to my 100% allocation. Okay, this is the daily chart. The daily chart is about to give you a green star candle here. It is the weekend. I am taking these two candles with a grain of salt. We are breaking the MRI resistance line. We have almost broken all levels of resistance. This has been a monster rally above all the moving averages. These moving averages do need to start crossing each other and starting to trend up. Also keep in mind alpha numerics, Matt McGregor's indicator. And we are very close to flipping the red wave into a green wave, which would mean that all kinds of bots are going to start running over with the black box team. So lots of good things are happening here. Personally, I find it very unlikely that a move from a swing low is going to take us straight into a swing high. I am expecting a pullback on if I zoom back out to the weekly scale here, which we didn't really look at. If I zoom out to the weekly scale, I am expecting some kind of a top prior to breaking to all-time highs. Maybe there will be a little bit of a head fake. It'll break the final level of resistance. It will be within a spitting distance of the all-time high, and then a drop down back to the $60,000 area, maybe 62, maybe 63, and then the breakout. I just think it's unlikely to go all the way to new highs. As a historical example of this, and I've used this historical example many times in the past, let's go all the way back. How far back we go in here? This is, where am I? Oh, 2010. No, it's a little too far back. Let's go to, it was the break of the downward trend line here. So here, right? So here's an example of us rallying and breaking out. There is an incredible downward sloping trend line. This is a Fibonacci, like a Fibonacci thing, but you can envision a trend line going down. We break this trend line. We just made it to new all-time highs, and look what happened. We pulled back down, okay, for one more pullback before the ultimate breakout. So it is rare that, like, here's another example. We break out, we start to challenge the all-time highs, and then bam, there's one more pullback. So this happens at all kinds of levels. Here's one more example. We make a new low, we break out to new swing highs, but then COVID hit. So we actually went lower. If there was no COVID, I don't think this candle would have happened, the big crash candle. We would have still made a pullback low, not crossed the lows. I just find it very unlikely that Bitcoin can break out to new all-time highs and keep going to a new significant top off of a brand new low without a pullback. Maybe if we go back to the pandemic candle, we can see something like that. And even then, you know, here's a pullback, single candle takes us down 12%, which is somewhat significant. 15% move overall. Not much over here on the front end, but this is an extreme example that allows Bitcoin to just keep rising. Without an extreme example like that, there are still people willing to sell the new highs and something like okay. I think I've talked about this long enough. Very quick daily chart looks good. I'm not putting too much stock into this candle, for the lack of better words. So I'm gonna wait till Monday plays out, and if Monday is a nice bullish day, I do think we are poised to challenge 72,000, but I'm still expecting a pullback to the mid 60s and then after. Hourly chart looks absolutely incredible. When I started putting together the show this morning, we were right at the lows. I really like where we are right now. We are challenging the swing high, and I do think we will break it today. Historical trend, we are right in line now. We were challenging the lowest points of any cycle. The cycle in red is the outlier. It was an outlier to the downside in the beginning. It's an outlier to the upside. Really, we should be looking at the next three. And right now, we're at the bottom end of the range, but we are doing better than the green cycle, which is 2 cycles ago. And that's the one that did go higher than the purple. The purple was way higher at this point in time based on having cycles, but the purple didn't go as high as the green. Being in between them is actually good because it has elements of both, and that's very, very good. Okay, oil. Wow, what a dump on oil this week. We can go and take a look at the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and see if the Biden administration had started selling oil. Gold. Gold was doing super well. This is not a great candle. I remain bullish on gold. I guess Bitcoin took the luster out of gold. Yeah, I see Financial Summit is in our chat. Yes, please check out the Financial Summit streams. Weekly chart on the S&P. The S&P took a big dump on Friday. Look at that. And Bitcoin held up. That is good. I think Bitcoin is being very, very helped by Trump's statements, being very, very positive to Bitcoin. I guess when your son is building shitcoins on top of Ethereum, you don't really have a choice. I mean, this is one of those rare examples where I don't mind shitcoining on Ethereum when it's the president. They'll learn the hard way, and we'll see if the Biden administration wants to, build critical American infrastructure on top of Ethereum. And in 4 years, it all collapses, and the streetlights don't work, and the thing with the Microsoft is like 10 times worse because Ethereum went belly up and got hacked. I mean, it will be a good lesson. And by that time, Bitcoin would be super strong and it will be unstoppable, right? So 4 more years of people shitcoining that would take Bitcoin to $250,000 a coin, making it completely unstoppable. And then it's the savior when critical infrastructure starts to fail because it got built on top of Ethereum, or the president's son gets super embarrassed by his token going to shit. People will learn, like Mechanic, you always said this, right? People need to learn.
Did I say that? I think they should.
I,
I don't know if they will.
wasn't that you? Was that you, or was that Jimmy's song?
Yeah, that sounds like a Jimmy song kind of.
No, no, I don't mean it. I didn't quote you. It's just like in that kind of sense.
Yeah, I get you, man. I think to me, it's all just, it shows a really, really poor understanding. Like if you're in the kind of position Trump and his son are in, you don't, are you ever going to be in a position where you want to leave everything laissez-faire and unregulated? They're not going to do that. They want to have the kind of control that companies have over their stocks. Like they don't need to pretend anything about it's decentralized. They could just,
Well, maybe that's why they're interested in Ethereum.
well, yeah, but that's fake decentralization's worse than just being centralized. Like having it's like Bcash, right? Having to maintain the decentralization LARP just makes everything inefficient for no reason. So you might as well just be like, yeah, we're centralized and actually take because there's a big advantage in being centralized, right? So just do it. Like don't pretend that you're decentralized using a blockchain that doesn't really work for what you're using it for. Like you have to pick one or the other. Like if you're going to be decentralized with a blockchain, then you're going to go to Bitcoin. If you're going to do anything else and try and make a blockchain actually have any of the benefits of centralization, no point. You might as well just do a centralized ledger and give up the LARP of the whole thing. I'm wondering when Bcash will actually do that.
Well, I don't know what Big Cash is going to do anything, right? Like, what's the status of Roger Ver? I haven't followed up. Is he on house arrest? Is he in prison? What the hell happened?
I haven't
Like, I
followed up
don't
either.
know.
But I mean,
Hmm?
it's ridiculous. Like Giacomo said, I have to defend him now. Like
Well, I
only
have to defend him also, right? But I did defend him, but I don't know where Roger is. And if
me neither.
Roger is not, like, I got a friend, I'm not going to name his name, and he was in a bunch of legal trouble over a crypto thing, and they didn't know what to charge him with. So he's been in limbo for like 4 years, where he spent some time in prison, and then they couldn't hold him because they didn't have any charges, but he was responsible for something, and it ended up being that he's on house arrest, and somehow he's legally not allowed to use an electronic device, right? Like he's not allowed to use a computer, he's not allowed to use a cell phone, like, and if he gets caught using one of them, he gets in serious legal trouble and goes to prison. Like, I don't know how this is being enforced, like, but anyway. So it's kind of like, so if Roger is in that similar weird boat, and this is completely unconstitutional and illegal, by the way, it's insane, right? But if
Yeah.
Roger is not allowed to use a cell phone or to text his Bcash team, like, who's in charge?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's some evidence that he was really just like, I don't know. Bcash did exist before him, right? Like he just sort
No,
of was like, this is it. But I don't know. Like Jihan's
no,
out there with BitDeer mining Bitcoin, right? They're not mining Bcash anymore.
right.
So I don't know. I've gone on Roger's Twitter and I see the last thing is some just like a who's who of scammers. There's some tweet about Brock Pierce and Gavin Andreessen and just all these absolute morons. So I don't know. He's not tweeted anything since April 25th. So I guess he's not. That's not like him, right? So I guess he is unable to use social media and stuff. Did they actually manage to extradite him from Spain? Is he
Yeah.
on U.S. soil now?
I mean, that was the announcement, right? Like Roger got arrested in Spain for extradition. And but again, I don't know
But he might be
if
appealing in Spain, right?
that's the thing. I don't know. I know nothing. All I know is he was arrested in Spain, set for extradition over tax evasion, right? But I don't know what happened after. I don't know if he's in Spain. I don't know if he's in the US. I don't know if he's in prison somewhere in either country. I don't know if he's on house arrest. I know literally nothing. All I
Well,
know is that it's fucked up.
according to an article in Bloomberg on June the 5th, a Spanish court granted him bail in extradition flight. So I don't know whether I don't know if he fled the country after that. Sounds like he's not in America. That was almost 2 months ago, that update.
Right. So we don't really have an update. So hopefully, I don't know, it'll hit the news cycle, but and we'll find out. Okay. Uh,
It was $163,000 bail he posted in May, allowing him to leave the Spanish jail, according to Cointelegraph.
yeah.
Mm.
A little steep, but yeah, it's worth the money
I
when you have it.
if I was in, I'd post 160 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No way I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, agreed. Same. And here's the Nasdaq. What a beautiful reversal candle this month. The month is not yet over. What a crazy Friday. I didn't even realize how much the stock markets fell on Friday. Well, the MRI top certainly made the right call on the weekly Nasdaq and the S&P. I've been warning about all of that. Tesla. Also, I've been warning about that timing perfectly. Tesla was timed somewhere. Was it the month? No, it must have been the daily. Yeah, I called the daily MRI top on Tesla, and Nvidia was perfectly timed. And I'm not surprised Nvidia is going to new lows. Nvidia had the ultimate perfect top of it almost made it to the daily, but it was the weekly and the monthly tops on Nvidia came in perfect. Right here, that was the warning candle. There's the MRI. It topped like 3 days early. I was ready to be all over that short, but I missed it by 3 days, and I didn't take the trade. Anyway, that's the markets. That's all I have on the markets. I don't know much about Trump's shitcoining or Bitcoining. I know that sounds like we're pretty good on that front. So one of the reasons why Bitcoin will be pumping. I already showed the ETF chart. So before we get into the topic of the day, which is discussing the Trump assassination, someone asked if I was affected by the CrowdStrike. Uh, I was not. I was already in Panama, and there's not much electronic here, so I haven't really flown anywhere. I've had no effects of CrowdStrike. Is it over? Is everything back online?
Probably. It was a pain in the butt. Like, it would have wasted thousands of hours because every single machine had to be manually fixed. And if you had a BitLocker, then it was a really annoying and slow process, but it was fixable. Um, it's just, it sort of highlighted a lot of the problems that are going on, like
Did it
systemically.
affect the average person as well?
No, not really. Like, this is a thing we've run up with Ocean, right? Is that a lot of the publicly traded companies we want to deal with make you use stuff like this as part of your compliance. So, like, they would make it, if we were to do this stuff, which we don't, it would mean like every employee in Ocean had to have some shit like CrowdStrike installed, which would give Luke or Jason or someone the ability to wipe our whole laptop or something as a security measure. But these things are so deep, the way they embed themselves in the system, that if there's a problem with them, it can brick your whole machine, right? So every single airline kiosk where they would print your boarding pass and stuff like that would just break because all of those are installed in a way where remote management can shut everything down if they need to. But your average Windows laptop that doesn't work for some stupid corporation that makes them install stuff like this because of, bureaucrats' idea of what IT security is, they're just going to carry on working fine. You have to actually have CrowdStrike installed for this. It's just like a centralized version of what government bureaucrats have decided is, information security. They're like, you can check a box saying, "Hey, we installed CrowdStrike. We meet the requirements for having a secure, this is how we've secured everything digitally." And it's massively centralized, right? And I don't know if you started looking into it, but the
No.
CrowdStrike company was the people that alleged that Russia collusion with Trump was there was a rigging of the 2016 election. They were a part of that whole thing. They were implicated in that. So they're sort of one of those nasty, deep state aligned kind of companies that have a bunch of DEI and seem pretty incompetent. And there's maybe some evidence that this was malicious too. But I don't really buy that much because it only affected the Windows users. If you really want to bring down the entire planet, it should have affected the Linux versions too, because this software is available for Linux and Mac as well, not just Windows. And this only affected the Windows users, which some of the least serious users. But I mean, it's debatable how much effect you can have targeting the different kinds of systems. But surprise, surprise, there are a lot of Windows servers still out there. People should all be using Linux, not Windows. But I will say, as much as I hate Windows and Microsoft, this wasn't really Windows' fault. It was CrowdStrike's fault.
Yeah, but the CrowdStrike will be protected by the political class, so they're always blaming Windows.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this case, they didn't even come out with an apology, right? People definitely died from this. Like loads of power grids were knocked offline and hospitals as well. So there's definitely sort of like an actual death toll from this thing. And the CEO came out with something that wasn't, anything like an apology. It was just
Oh, like the Boeing CEO when their planes drop out of the sky.
yeah, exactly. They just come up with something the team of lawyers said, say all this, don't admit liability for anything. Just come out and say, this is what happened, this is how you fix it. And that's it. And we're very, very grateful to have, a diverse team of gay people working for us or something. Like people
Right,
went and dug and found their June 1st tweet, which was all about diversity, equity,
right.
equation, and all that.
Well,
And
we'll get to that when we're discussing Trump's
Secret
Secret
Service.
Service team. Yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
mean, we need to get to
oh,
that.
you should. I should post a video. I haven't posted it yet. On my last flight, I was flying from New York to Panama. We were hitting a storm, literally, and I was like recording because there were like lightning strikes. We were flying right into a storm, and I'm like, okay. And I know United's policy is diversity first and then safety second. And then in my video, like you hear people in the plane screaming. I have a video of this, right? Like I'm not. I didn't have it on the people's faces. I'm just like have my camera out the window. But we hit some turbulence. The plane must have dropped like maybe 20, 30 feet. And like you hear everyone behind me just screaming.
Nice. Was it a Boeing?
Uh, Probably. So 737. All right. So, all right, let's move on. Statistics. Okay, so here's my current little project. So I'm gonna throw this into the video description. This is where I keep all of my data for like government data. Well, government statistical data. Let me not scare people. Let me just delete this part, and that link should work. It's in the video description, and it's my Google spreadsheet. This is where we're gonna go and update the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Where are we here? Our last data was on 6/28. Let's go and take a look at what the latest stats are. We got the data for 2 more weeks. Awesome. Here it is. Let's copy that. And let's see what the US government is doing with the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's one data point. That's a second data point. Let's get this. Let's get this. Wow, they're still buying oil into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Very much to my surprise, I really thought they would already start to sell to help the election, but I don't think they can help the election. Like, I think it's over. So I am going to lose my bet to Joe Carlasari that Trump was not going to be on the ballot. I hate to say it, but I lost that bet by a quarter of an inch. That's what the experts are saying. If that bullet was a quarter of an inch to the side, it hits him right in the brain. So I missed that bet by a quarter of an inch. That was one of my main concerns as to how Trump was not going to be on the ballot was an assassination of Trump, and I also never thought Biden was going to be on the ballot either. I thought they were both going to be off the ballot, and I thought it was going to be just total mayhem and insanity. But somehow Gavin Newsom swooping in to win the election. Gavin Newsom will not be in this election. That's off the table now. Now, had the other scenario happened, had they successfully eliminated Trump and gotten Biden to step down, then Gavin Newsom absolutely swoops in. But right now, because Trump will be on the ballot and Trump will be the winner, no other politician wants to ruin his career for a lost cause. So there's no way any of these guys, like Gavin Newsom, would go up against Trump. So their only chances are Kamala Harris going up against Trump because no one likes her anyway, not even the Democratic Party, or someone like Hillary that, again, no one even cares about anymore, and that she already lost to Trump once. Like, it's not like they're ruining Hillary's political career. And all the rumors I'm hearing right now is that Hillary is about to make an announcement that she will be on the Democratic nominee instead of Kamala, with Biden stepping down. I will hold off on this rumor. I heard it yesterday from some sources that are connected that I happen to know. And I think Alex Jones made a little video on Twitter about it, but that seems to be the rumor. I think it's possible, but I'm gonna wait and see. Big Mike is definitely not running, and yeah, so it's the Democratic Party is a total mess. Motorist, thank you for joining.
Hey, sorry, Jed, I was a little bit late jumping on. Just woke up.
It's all good. We're about to get to the good topics. Okay. Now that we covered that, so there's a couple of things in this spreadsheet. So the latest data that I'm pulling in, so I have the data from, this is the budget data. Very soon, we're going to get the latest fiscal year. Fiscal year data comes out, I believe, either in October or in November. I think it comes out on October 1st, and the fiscal year ends in September, but the data doesn't come out till October. So it's October, November. Yeah, fiscal year ends in September. So October 1st, the data comes out, but the data comes out October 1st, not for the end of September. They don't have the data compiled yet. It comes out for the month before. So on November 1st, the data comes out as for October 1st, which is data all through September, which is the end of the fiscal year. And the one part that we are looking at is the Department of Treasury, but specifically when you break this down by function. This is, so I did all the segregation for you guys. There is raw data. You can go and look it up yourself. When you look at it by function, and this took a shit ton of work, and you guys have no idea how hard it was to figure out this part. The net interest calculation is fucking insane. I spent about a week doing this, and I already forgot what the math was, and I really don't want to spend another month trying to figure it out. Anyway, the net interest on debt is the real craziness here. So last year, it was $658 billion, almost $1 trillion. This is net interest. Don't confuse net interest with interest on debt. You will see interest on debt number at $1 trillion, but it's the net interest number that matters because some of these departments actually make money. It's weird. So it's the net interest. And you have projections, like here at the bottom. Nope. Here at the bottom. Shit. Maybe it's in my raw data page. Here at the bottom. Yes. I have the estimates. I missed one year, unfortunately. but now I'm getting the latest estimates. So this is the estimate in the last report of where they expect us to be. I think this is way undercapitalized. Anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here. This is not what I meant to do today. If you look at US debt clock, they actually updated this page and it made it look really nice. You see it right here, interest on debt net. It's already at 800, it's already at 900,000. I think this number is a smidge high. Even I didn't expect it to be this high. So let's see if they adjust this in the next 3 months, because this is a little bit weird that the interest on debt is already this high. The latest estimate for interest on debt for the year, this is the latest estimate a year ago for what would be this year, is 888, and this was the number I was actually expecting, around 900,000. But at the end of the fiscal year, which still has like 2 months to go or 3 months to go of data, and somehow national debt clock already has it at 900,000. So that seems a little bit strange. National debt is about to break 35,000, but national debt is not that important. It's this number that's important and the unfunded liabilities number, which is at $217 trillion. And this is insane. This is almost at 35 trillion. Okay, here's my latest data gathering, and I'm really, really curious on how this data plays out. This is US debt held by foreign nations. I finally got my hands on historical data. Was not as easy to find as you think. I happened to find an article right here, this foreign holdings article, which is really interesting. And this article, in addition to showing you, wait, yeah, here it is. It's a government article. In addition to showing you the foreign holdings breakdown, and I really wanted to see more countries. I'm like, oh man, are these the only countries they're showing us? They're showing you the difference between 2019 and 2023, and I'm like, okay, it's a 4-year difference. You can see that Japan is about the same, but you can see mainland China and how much it's fallen from 1 trillion down to 800 billion. And but this was interesting. This gray bar is the amount of US debt held by Americans, and the orange bars is US debt held by foreigners. And you can see this trajectory completely flipped in 2007. So I haven't gotten into this part yet. I don't have the data of who's holding American debt within America. But this article allowed me to find very good historical data. This is the latest data. This is the data for 2024. And I had this as monthly data before going back a few years. But now, thanks to that article, I was able to find historical data. That's this right here. And this takes you to this awesome historical data every month of which countries held how much debt, and look how many countries they list. So this is very, very detailed, and it goes all the way to the year 2000. So now we have 22 years worth of data, and I'm a data guy. Like this is, I thought this was awesome. So I'm a data guy, and I'm not going to do this for every month. So I started filling in the data, annual data as of the end of December. I filled this out until 2012. Beyond 2012 was trickier because they combined certain things like Cayman Islands, and which I don't know why they hold so much, Cayman Islands and Bermuda and other Caribbean islands are joined as a single line item, like Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates are joined as a single line item. Belgium and Luxembourg are joined as a single line item. So either I gotta combine the more recent data to match the historical lookup and chart, or I gotta split up the historical data. I haven't decided which way I'm gonna go, but you can already see on the chart going back to 2014 or 20, whatever I have there, 2012, you can see the red line is China and how much they've deleveraged. The blue line is Japan, and you can see they're staying steady. Russia is interesting. You can see Russia here was fairly high, and it was higher before, and they're now at 0. I forgot all about Turkey. I had no idea Turkey used to hold government bonds, and they don't anymore. And This black line is all other countries, which is mostly European countries. The orange line is the UK. You can see the biggest US lapdog and how they have added so much US government bond. And look at number 4 slot, Luxembourg. Luxembourg has the 4th highest US government debt right now. And Belgium is right there as well. These aren't exactly China-style powerhouses here. Luxembourg has a population of 3,000 people. So explain how Luxembourg is the 4th highest US debt holder. I mean, this is the kind of money laundering on a grand scale you can possibly think of.
The only thing I can say about Luxembourg, Tone, is they have a culture, not ever having been to Holland, but I believe they have a culture of investment, and they like to buy, stocks and bonds as like their primary industry almost. They're an investment culture. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yes, if we're talking about Holland and the Dutch, but we're talking about a little country of Luxembourg, which is which is near Holland, but it is an independent country which is almost like a made-up country like Belgium.
It's its own thing for tax purposes, so you're going to get
Right.
irregularities like Liechtenstein, places like that. They
Right.
basically just exist as a rich people's playground. Like, have you ever been to Jersey? Not New Jersey, the island, one of the British Channel Islands. Like, it's like the Truman Show. It's this weird tiny island where the average net worth is like 400 million or something. Like, it's a very
In
strange
case
place.
anyone is wondering where the hell Liechtenstein is, you see that I am in Panama. If anyone is wondering where the hell this country is, it's always fun finding it on a map. Here is Luxembourg.
These are, yeah, Luxembourg's it doesn't have a national identity kind of thing.
Right.
It's a contrived entity that exists for the
Right.
purposes of rich people.
Right. It's basically Belgium. It's which both pretty much made up. Anyway,
Liechtenstein's further south. Are you struggling to find it?
yeah, it's right here.
Well, that's Luxembourg.
That's Luxembourg. Well, is it not? Is it not Liechtenstein? Is it not the? Wait, I'm confusing myself now. Maybe it's early in the morning.
Liechtenstein is between Austria and Switzerland on the south end.
Oh shit, you're right.
Like
yeah, it's over.
7 o'clock.
Jesus
You got it there.
fucking Christ. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got myself confused looking at these things. Yeah. Liechtenstein's there, Luxembourg's there. So wait, which was it? Liechtenstein or was it Luxembourg? I'm already confusing
Luxembourg was the one that had a
Luxembourg,
whole bunch
right.
of US debt for some reason.
Right. So Liechtenstein is not on the list yet. Don't worry, they'll launder money through that as well. Okay.
Tone, I had a thought on the strategic reserve. If you want to touch on that.
Sure. Before we move on to the real topic of the day, which is the Trump
So do you think that maybe they're increasing the strategic reserve because not for political purposes or anything like that, but because they're actually expecting some sort of local unrest, and they want to make sure they have that strategic oil reserve for the military in case there's widespread local unrest all across the United States coming up, close to the election or right near the election or after the election? Do you think that's a theory?
Possibly, but I think the civil unrest they were expecting, like, I am so confident the Trump thing was an inside job by our deep state that maybe that was what they were anticipating, but now that's not going to happen unless they try again and succeed, or they, as we said in our last show, they can still try to cheat at the polls, right? There's still nothing stopping them from cheating at the polls, right? There's nothing stopping them from flipping like they did last time.
I wouldn't say nothing
the votes and the machines.
I wouldn't say there's nothing stopping them. I don't know why you disagree with this, but I still say that it's easier to cheat. First of all, let's get one thing straight. Both sides cheat. Usually it doesn't actually flip a presidential election. It usually flips local elections because one side or another cheats. Usually it's the party that has more power within that local jurisdiction, which is why it's normally Democrats cheating, because in a lot of these big cities, there's a lot of Democrats that have a lot of local power. But it's more difficult to cheat in a landslide election. So usually they'll cheat in a landslide election, but it won't be enough to flip. Is what I'm saying, because they'll have to focus on a few states, and if there's no states that are close enough that it's going to make a difference, they'll cheat, but it won't make a difference in the final count.
Right. But also, like, I agree, both sides cheat, right? But there's cheating and then there is cheating, right? Like, so for example, if let's say we're taking a test, right? And I find a way to cheat on that test by somehow bringing in a doctor's note to allow the teacher to give me more time to do the test, right? Technically, that's cheating, right? But that's not the kind of cheating of, um, you know, uh, me bringing in, like a PhD expert in the subject and taking the test in my place, right? So there's cheating and then there is
Yeah,
cheating, right?
absolutely. There's degrees of cheating. I
So,
agree with that. Just like there's
right,
degrees
so,
of stealing.
right. In my view, the cheating that Republicans tend to do are more like gerrymandering, where they maybe alter the line, the county lines, or like what they did with the George Bush election, where they kind of delayed the proceedings and they found a legal workaround to call Florida for Bush, even though what's his name?
Bush.
Gore probably won Florida, right? So it's kind of like the Republicans use as for the lack of a better term, slightly more ethical ways of cheating that are debatable if it's cheating, where the Democrats straight up pull suitcases of ballots from under tables, as we all witnessed in George's surveillance video, right? Like they have no concept of, well, in order to save the world, we have to do this, right? Like they have this moral view that they're cheating for the greater good. So the type of cheating that is done is irrelevant, right? Where the other side, the right, on the right, the Republicans on the right, well, because they are Hitler, the mustache man, any kind of questionable things that they do, some government bureaucrat alters the jurisdiction line to move it from one street to another so that the votes are counted differently. Oh, that's cheating. That is like criminal. You need to, the death penalty is warranted, right? So, yeah, there's cheating and there's cheating. And since I'm on this note of left versus right, and again, I'm going to credit Mark Armstrong for this one because he like got this into my head over a decade of reading his blog, which I'm now 6 months behind on, and it sucks. Is that for some reason people equate Hitler with the right and ultra right, and he wasn't. Hitler was actually also on the left. He was on the socialist bandwagon, on a tyrannical bandwagon. And that's why the right has this bad stigma because of one mustache man. And in reality, it's always the left that is the violent side. The side, the right wants to be left alone. They are more libertarian leaning, unless you get these, Dick Cheney style neocons in the White House. But the majority of the people on the right, they would rather be left alone. They lean more libertarian, but the people on the right, the people on the left, it's always the violent ones, right? This is why, none of these. This is why Biden would never had an assassination attempt. Obama never had an assassination attempt. And yet here we are. Reagan had one, and now Trump has one. And it's the left that's always violent. We saw this with Antifa. And again, I was there on January 6th. The violence was it wasn't a violent protest. There were people with babies everywhere. It wasn't meant to be a violent protest. It never started out to be a violent protest, and it was definitely infiltrated by the FBI, and there was so much shit. And the infiltrated by Antifa, And the violence that happened on January 6th was instigated by the left. Once again, it was instigated by the left. It's the left that's always the violent side of the political spectrum. And
well, I would say definitely as far as presidential assassination attempts, almost all the assassins or would-be assassins fell into two categories. They were either extreme leftists, like the guys who took shots at Gerald Ford, or dare I say, Oswald, extreme leftist, or they were people who had no political ideology, like John Hinckley, or some others. So, I mean, I don't know if you could consider John Wilkes Booth, leftist. I guess you could, and back then, I guess he was considered a leftist. But so what I'm waiting to find out for this guy is, was he a radical leftist, or was he more like John Hinckley, where he just had no political ideology and he was just crazy? So I'm not sure which category this guy's going to fall into.
Same thing with most school shooters. Most school shooters are leftists.
It depends what you mean. I'm really struggling to understand the world in the left and right paradigm at the moment. It just seems like a false paradigm. You just have insane nut jobs that are just power hungry nutcases that live in this world where language doesn't really mean anything, and it's pure Orwell. The idea that you need to rig an election to save democracy. That is the most doublespeak 1984 thing I've ever heard of, and it will be believed by the dominant party, right? That is how they see what they are doing, as you put it. Like, if we don't rig the election against Donald Trump and all the people that want to vote for him, that will be the end of our democracy. This is literally what they keep saying. And it's the most obviously self-contradictory statement ever, but that's what they're saying. So, and he's already been in power once, and he didn't do anything to the effect of, completely violating the Constitution so that he can stay in power forever and grant himself, eternal presidency. He didn't do any of that. So we have proof that it's not that kind of risk. If he gets voted out again, it'll be over. All he ever did was say, in a kind of naive way, what happened to the votes? We were getting loads of votes and then they stopped counting and now suddenly I'm losing. Like, he was naive going into the whole thing. He didn't realize what he was up against. I've been sort of...
Well,
I think this is let's talk about Trump for a minute, because I think he's just a bit naive a lot of the time. I think he's courageous and it's commendable, but I think he doesn't really realize that these people will kill him. These people will rig elections against him. And every time he gets into these situations, he's like, what the heck? I just think he's naive.
I've been all but spelling it out for 8 years now. Wow, I can't believe it's been 8 years since the very first Trump election. Holy shit.
It's very prescient that you and I were talking about this right before it happened. And again, just to back my side up, it's not easy to take him out. There had to be so many, screw ups, and for a guy to get even close, and he still missed, and he was a quarter of an inch away, apparently, based on the reports that are.
All right. Well, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into what I'm starting to have a better idea of what actually went down. I'm a little behind on my Russia-Ukraine and Israel-Gaza situation. Someone wanted me to talk about Israel. I'll do it on an upcoming stream. Let's focus on this Trump situation. But Mechanic, to your point, by the way, guys, I spent a lot of time putting the links and resources into this video description. If you go to the video description to what Mechanic was just talking about, and you pull up a discussion that the Duran guys had, I think it's categorized, good discussions about new VP JD Vance. So one of those is from the Duran. I wonder what the other one was. I should label them. So I think this is it. I'm going to grab the YouTube video. So this is where they also discuss it, that Trump was totally naive in his first term. And now, since he was going to be a lot less naive in his second term, and now with the assassination attempt, Trump is going full on. He was probably going to wait to announce JD Vance at the Republican National Convention. He announced him immediately. I've watched the entire 7 hours of the Republican convention. The Hulk Hogan part was actually pretty cool. I'm not I'm not a huge fan of Dana White, but apparently Trump is a huge fan of Dana White. I don't know. My view of Dana White changed when I saw that video of him like literally punching his wife in some press box of some sporting event. I don't know if you guys saw that video. After that, I'm like, yeah, I don't have that much respect for the guy anymore. Somehow no one cared because it's Dana White. I don't know. I guess not.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's the head of the UFC.
Oh, I see. Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's made so many millions of dollars off of other people punching other people, but I thought he never punched anyone, but I guess that's not true now.
I mean, I could be wrong here. I mean, like maybe it's like someone like in the chat, like fact check me on this. There was a video. It was like 3-4 years ago or something. Like someone like zoomed up on like some press box of some event. Maybe it was a UFC event, maybe some other sporting event. Like I don't know. And then they were watching him like get into an argument with his wife, and then he was like punching her a couple of times. Kind of like who was that football star that beat up his wife in the elevator?
I forgot his name.
That was P. Diddy, who like runs.
No, that was another one. No, but that wasn't the football one.
Okay. That's all.
No, I know who you're talking about, Tone, but I forgot. Was it Kareem Rush? No, not Kareem. Hunt. It was like, sorry, it was like somebody for Kansas City. It was it Kareem Hunt? I see the video you're talking about. I pulled it up on. I see the video you're talking about, Tone. I was able to pull it up. It says Dana White caught slapping his wife at New Year's Eve, I guess, party.
Right. Someone is saying his wife. Oh, it's a slap. Okay, Ray Rice, right? Ray Rice, the Ray Rice video.
Ray Rice. There was more than one. Ray Rice was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Rice. It was the Ray Rice video.
Let's get on to the topic at hand because I really want to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so maybe someone is saying she slapped him first. I didn't see that, but like again, I'm not a UFC guy. Like I just happened to have a glimpse of that video. I'm like, okay, and he never got. I don't know. So, anyway, they slapped each other. Okay, so maybe it wasn't as bad as I remember it. Like I said, I needed to be fact checked on
assassination, man, because I don't have super long, and I really want to know what you have to say.
Oh shit. Okay, so watch this video as them discussing Trump. Let's talk about the assassination. Here we go. So I posted a bunch of videos. We're gonna watch like minor clips of them just so you guys have an idea. But go through these videos that I posted in the video description. So this is a good video that talked about the initial breakdown and how it happened. So the most interesting part, as you'll see in other videos, is that what's his name? Crooks, the patsy.
Crooks.
What's his name, Patrick?
Crooks, like one of the crooks in Watergate or something.
No, Crooks. But what's his last? How do you pronounce his last name? Crooks.
Okay, Crooks, like crooks. Like I'm not a crook or something like that, but plural. Okay. Crooks.
So Crooks was shot right here on this edge, and you'll see in some of the other video analysis that it only made sense that the shots that hit Trump came from this edge. So some of people suspect that he was shooting from here and then moved and then shot again from here, which I think is very unlikely. And that's where he got killed. But just keep in mind, he got killed on this side on top of the warehouse and on the opposite side of it, by the way, just looking right over the top versus this side. So this is a good video by Task and Purpose. Oh, wait, I need to get the audio. Share computer audio. Let me maybe lower I don't know if that matters. Let me slow this down a bit. I was watching it on 2x, but that's not necessary. So here, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play a minute of each video so you have an idea what these videos are. And this is so far the best I've found to explain everything.
Are my tax dollars going straight into a dumpster fire? This isn't a knock on the incredibly brave and fast response by many officers. This video is focused on two main pre-planning operational failures in security based on new reports, eyewitness accounts, and statements from officials close to the rally security planning. The first security failure happened at 5:40 p.m., about half an hour before the shooting, when a local police officer spotted a suspicious-looking man holding a rangefinder at the entrance to the rally. A rangefinder is a small device that you can look through like a scope or binoculars. You press a button on it, and it digitally gives you the exact distance of a target that you're aiming at. The suspect was pacing around outside the metal detectors at the bag area check. Officers thought maybe the device was just to observe the speech and the rally better. The officer put out a message, though, over the radio net to warn everyone of this sus behavior, which was passed along to Secret Service and other agencies. Now, AP reported that police officers then lost sight of him in the crowd as they tried to follow him. According to John Miller, a former senior FBI agent, people had his description and were looking around for him. Even when regular cars drive up to a typical DUI checkpoint, for instance, if they try to pull a U-turn and avoid it, it's standard operating procedure to have a second police officer in what's called a chase vehicle to stop them. So already we're off to a rough start. And that's why Americans are angry right now. We want to know exactly who is in power, who's responsible for this oversight, and we want them held accountable. To get there, though, we have a lot of questions. And so far, the answers we're getting do not look good. So what happened next is the shooter made his way from the event security around the AGR building perimeter, and he was able to breach it without being apprehended. This is the second pre-planning major security failure. Because beforehand, they're supposed to lock all the doors and make sure there's no way to gain roof access and post officers around the building and on top of it. Let's take a closer look at the complex of 4 separate buildings at 615 Whitestone Road, where he fired from. Google Maps Street View actually shows us the parking lot, and we can see there are multiple locations, just in the 2 seconds of looking here, where someone could jump up on top of that storage shed, for instance, and get to the rooftop, even without a ladder. This occurred on a Saturday after 6 p.m., so the building was likely closed, which means it should have been easy to spot anyone acting sus around here walking around a ladder.
Real quick.
This occurred on a Saturday after 6 p.m., so
keep an eye on that water tower. That's going to be discussed later, not by him, but somebody else.
the building was likely closed, which means it should have been easy to spot anyone acting sus around here walking around because there shouldn't have been employees over there. Secret Service spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi said that the agency had designated that specific rooftop to be under the jurisdiction of law enforcement. Director of Secret Service Kimberly Cheadle, in charge of the whole Secret Service, said, quote, "There was local police in that building. There was local police in the area that was responsible for the outer perimeter of the building." Butler County District Attorney Richard Goldinger told NBC News, though, that his office deployed 4 quick response teams and 4 sniper teams at the rally on Saturday. He claimed that the Secret Service was responsible for security outside the Butler Farm Show and that they were the #1 in the command hierarchy there. So where I'm standing, it appears like the Secret Service looks like they're casually shifting blame and suggesting that it was someone else's fault for an operation that they were fully in charge of. I feel like the only thing I would need to complete my blame game bingo card is if someone comes out and says mistakes were made. What happened next is shocking to watch, not because it's graphic, but because it's hard to imagine how this failure in perimeter security in advance could happen. Attendees standing here noticed the shooter already on top of the roof. It was recorded on video and posted on X by an attendee in the crowd who spotted the shooter crawling on the AGR rooftop. For about a full minute, the video plays and shows the shooter on the roof while people are trying to warn authorities. Lined up video with the moment in the speech shows that the crowd had spotted and was warning police for about at least 2 minutes before the shots were fired. The attendees did the right thing here, trying to alert the police, and listen to what this eyewitness has to say about it.
I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody, and I went and told the officer that he was up there.
Leosi is a former Secret Service agent, and he gave some insight into what might have happened. That it might have been possible they couldn't tell if the suspect had a rifle in hand and wanted to fire on them. They might have dispatched officers on the ground to check and confirm. I've had some time to process what has happened, and personally I feel like if you're on a restricted rooftop within 150 meters of the president, even if you're just holding your dick in your hand, you're asking to get brained. According to Butler County Sheriff Michael Sloop, this is what happened next. 2 local officers were already looking for the shooter due to what happened at the metal detectors. One officer was hoisted up by his partner by standing on his hands so he could look out over the edge of the roof to get eyes on the suspect. The second officer on the roof had both of his hands holding himself up in like a pull-up position to peer out onto the rooftop. So they encountered the shooter while he was on that roof. The gunman turned around and pointed his rifle directly at the officer, so the officer fell back down to avoid getting shot in the face. That's when the shooter took aim and fired at Trump. Now, Fox News spoke with Bill Gage. He's a 13-year veteran of the Secret Service, and Bill said, quote, "Just because someone's on a roof doesn't mean the counter-sniper guys can just open fire. They operate under Graham v. Connor use of force rules." So what that means is that legally they would have to have perceived a threat in order to pull triggers and not end up getting thrown into jail potentially later. So people are going to be asking questions about the rules of engagement, use of force.
All right, so that is crazy. So that was the one part I kept hearing, like, oh, the cop engaged him on the rooftop, and yet the threat wasn't eliminated. And now, because of this video, I have a better understanding as to why, that the cop apparently just jumped off the roof when the guy on the roof pointed his gun at him, and yet somehow the word wasn't relayed to the snipers. This is just insanity. Any comments on this before we go to the next video?
I have a quick one. I'm echoing. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, well, what I'm saying is that you have to understand the local police have 2 main priorities, and they're different from the Secret Service. The local police main priority number 1 is to keep themselves safe. They don't want to put themselves in danger. And priority number 2 is to arrest anyone that does anything illegal. So I think with the cops, when they saw the guy sneaking around, they're like, their mentality wasn't, oh, this guy's going to shoot at Trump. What they were thinking is, oh, we got to go arrest that guy. That's what their main. So they didn't even think of it as being even a danger to Trump. They just thought, oh, there's some lunatic on the roof, let's go arrest him. So I think they were just trying to figure out a way to arrest him, but they didn't want to put themselves in danger.
I don't buy that. This is
Why not?
literally a Trump rally, right?
Why
Like
not?
you have.
Uvalde. They just don't want to put themselves in any danger. They only want to
No,
arrest
that's
you.
fine. No,
Yeah,
I know. But at
yeah.
that moment, you gotta assume the guy isn't there.
You're
The
not
guy is
thinking
there
like
to
a
kill
cop.
Trump. I mean, that's the most
You're
obvious
not thinking
assumption.
like a cop. You're thinking like someone who's trying to protect the president. And they weren't. The Secret Service is a separate category. Their job is to enforce laws, but their job is also security. So their literal job is security. A cop's job, they offloaded that whole area to the local police. That was the mistake. Is they should have had some Secret Service people over there too. I think that was the main mistake right
All
here.
right, let's move on to the next video, right? So this explains the breakdown in security very well. How the guy was literally is like, oh, there looks to be like a metal detector here. You just walk around a few yards and I can just get a nice vantage point without any security walking onto the building. I wonder if you would have climbed down the building or would have like easily climbed over one of these fences, even if there was a fence. I don't know, maybe it's one of those like little electric perimeter like they use for cows that you can just jump over and just walk right in here. It probably could have been totally possible. So watching this video shows you the insane breakdown in securities. Okay, next video is, I think it's Chris Mortensen of Peak Prosperity, where he describes where he breaks down the audio tapes and the bullets. So this is super interesting. I think I have it on a decent part. We're not going to play too much of it, but all these links are in the video description.
Here is video number one. To just orient ourselves, I count off of this video 15.8 seconds from the very first to the very last shot. So the AP article that said, Crooks took a shot and was neutralized by snipers within seconds. What they meant was 15.8 seconds, unless I have this story wrong. Next, we're going to look at these first three shots here so you understand how we can analyze the rest of them. And so here's the shot. This is the sonic crack. So that's the bullet is the blue arrows. And then the report is going to be the black arrows. So that's the crack, thump, crack, thump, crack, thump. And of course, it was the first bullet that nicked Trump's ear. And again, let me get my thing here. Here's what it sounds like. Okay. So now I've just isolated the sound. There it is. Okay. Oops, sorry. One last time just to make sure we're hearing this right. There's 0.22 seconds between the crack and the thump, and knowing a little bit about the type of the bullet that was used and the caliber of it and the air conditions and things like that, you can estimate the distance of the shooter and how far away the shooter was. So that 0.2.
So I'm not going to play too much of it, but strongly recommend watching this video. There was one other part, maybe over here.
Put the bullet just over the left eye of Crooks on the roof. So we're going to take a closer look at the blue, the red, the blacks here and listen to these things. But once again, let's just listen very carefully. We'll go back and forth until you're certain of this yourself. Here's just the first three shots from that video. I haven't done anything, no audit. I haven't done any enhancements. This is both of these audio pieces are exactly pulled straight from the video itself. Nothing else. I haven't boosted any. I haven't done any filtering. Raw files. Okay. So, and by the way, every instinct in me was to try and minimize all the screaming, but I was like, nope. That like, what did you do? And then there's questions. These are raw files. Here's 1, 2, and 3 to start. Okay. Listen to that again. And one more time. Okay. Now let's listen to the next string. Ooh. Yeah. Hear that? So 6 sounds different to me, but here's an interesting thing. 1, 2, and 3, besides being muffled and further away, it doesn't have echoes. Here we have, this is a shot here, this peak. Oh, darn it, I don't have my thing up again. Here we go. So here's a shot. This is an echo. Very clearly an echo, and a shot, and an echo, and a shot, and an echo. So this is actually critical evidence, because you hear that, there's echoes coming off. So that also allows us, again, to analyze where was this gun. But first up, we just have an absolutely different sound between the first 3. There's no echo. It's much further away. It's more muffled. It's just not in the same place at all. But these next ones, very different sound, totally different weapons. Okay, full stop. We have 2 separate weapons. Plus, we have no echoes coming off of the first 3, and then we do have echoes coming off of the next set. And that last one, that's different. That's not the sniper shot. The sniper shot is another 10 seconds later. So I don't know what number 6 is here, but we're just going to bookmark it for now and go on. So audio analysis conducted by Nick tells us that if those next string of shots, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are coming from shooter, or who we're going to call shooter 2, because shooter 1 is sending off those muffled ones. Shooter 2 is very consistent. If somebody was on the roof firing something with.
All right, so check out the rest of this video. I thought it was very, very good. Any comments on that video before I go to the next one?
Yeah, I saw that video, and what's interesting is that his theory is that there was a second shooter inside the building, the one that Crooks was on top of, and shooting out. And his theory was because, excuse me, there was a guy at the what was his name? I forget his name. who got shot and killed, the firefighter who got shot and killed, or not where the firefighter, but on the opposite side of Trump, on Trump's left side, there was a guy who got hit. And basically what he's saying is the bullet traveled up. So because the bullet was going up, it must have been coming from closer to ground level because that guy was all the way up on the grandstand. So it makes more sense. Although I still think Crooks could have shot that guy from his vantage point.
Right, we're gonna talk about that, right? So again, I'm going through these videos in what I feel is a good order. So someone in the live chat literally sent me this video right before I went live. I hadn't had a proper time to watch all 24 minutes. I took 5 minutes and watched it on 2x in certain parts. And I think this video was good. I didn't need to watch it to the end because what this video does is it analyzes the trajectory of the shots. So we're gonna watch a little bit of this video, but it's the next video that I found super, super interesting that we're gonna watch as well. But let's take a look at this, and it shows you some of these vantage points as to where these bullets could have come from.
Service scopes out the empty Butler Farms site. So here is that area in question right here, the fairgrounds. And what they did was the Secret Service was going to fence in this entire area here and make this the enclosed area under security where they have full control. They identified this building as a threat and had asked the local police give some sort of protection over here. And now they're pointing fingers at each other, but the local police were saying, hey, we didn't have any manpower other than basic traffic control.
They were looking at assignments or ready to divvy up assignments, and our police department indicated that the manpower that they had necessary was not adequate for any assignment other than the traffic assignment that they intended to do.
So when you zoom into it here, this is where the stage was, and Trump was speaking probably somewhere right around here. And the gunman was going to be right over here on this part of the roof, right where the arrow is, approximately in that spot. And believe it or not, folks, as we're going to find out later, believe it or not, folks, right here on the second floor of this building is where there were snipers. The police had snipers in there. And how nobody saw him crawling up on this roof. He probably crawled up from the back right up here. But how nobody saw him shimmying when people on the ground saw him is going to be the subject of much debate. Now, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks learns of this Trump rally that's taking place on July 13th. He learns about it on July 3rd, so he's got about 10 days to plan for it. While still in high school, he appeared in this Black Rock video as he shows up at the Clairton Sports.
So this video does a great job in talking about who Crooks is and his history and his Google searches. I guess all that info is now public. And then at the end of this video, it starts to break down the trajectory of the bullets and how they flew. So I'm not going to play this because, again, I haven't, it does like a rendering. So this is a good video. And those were the 5
with all that gunfire
faster. So, again, this video was, I found this video just before I went live, so I'm not going to dig too much into it. The video I do want to talk about is this one. This was great. Legally Armed America did a great job with this video. I strongly recommend it. All of this is in the video description. I'm going to play a part of this. I'm going to do it at 1.5 speed as well, not at 2x. And so here, I'm just going to play a part of it, then we'll talk about it.
To again show that his body is indeed to the far right. And so then finally the slide number 6, where I have the white line and the yellow line. The white line represents the calculated trajectory that I could do from Crook's shooting position, which is where his dead body was. And as I drew the line to the left, I discovered from video from Sky News, helicopter video, that there's a second floor window that perfectly lines up with that trajectory. And not only is there a second floor window, but the video footage clearly shows that that second floor window is open. And so now if we go to slide number 7, you can see in that red dotted rectangle that window is open, and anyone can go to Sky News helicopter video showing Kirk's body. And as the helicopter swings around, it's very clear to see that the window opens outward, and the glass and the frame of the glass are indeed opened outward. And so that kind of shocked me because common sense would say that you wouldn't want to leave an elevated window that's open with a clear line to a presidential candidate unsecured. And so that's what that is that's an elevated position, a second floor window with a direct line of sight of President Trump speaking at the podium. And the line just happens to line up directly to that open window. And so that was kind of disconcerting because, who would do that? Who would leave such a position open and unprotected? But apparently they did.
And a quick side note on that, not that it would matter, but it seems, again, here we go with another coincidence that local police department also mentioned when the Secret Service director inadvertently and incorrectly stated that there were 2 sniper teams inside the lower building where Crook's body was found. She was corrected that she was wrong by local law enforcement, who said that those 2 sniper teams were actually in the adjacent building, which oddly enough is where that window is that you're talking about.
Yes, and when I heard that, so if we go to the next slide, That's part of the Sky News helicopter sweep. As you can clearly see within that red triangle with open window, you can see the frame of the window is open. So there's no question that that second floor window was open.
I'm going to
The
skip
bullet
forward
nicked
a bit.
Trump's ear. That tells us that the flight is parallel to his head. So basically, if we look at the bill of his cap, President Trump unknowingly is looking directly along the line of fire at the sniper who shot and grazed his ear. And as you can see, that movement takes that position to the left, where that second window is, that second floor window, not to the right, where Crook's position is, the moment that Trump's ear is hit. And so I show that now in the next graph. That's the moment that Trump is looking at the Jumbotron to his right and slightly behind him, follows the white line. But when he makes a head correction and turns more to the left, that lines up the bill of his cap to be parallel to that line of fire. And again, this is the best I can do with the rudimentary tools that I have at my disposal. And then on the next slide, I just show that it's from what I can do in my limited ability, that is the shot that grazed President Trump's ear came from that window. So then I looked to see, well, is there anyone else seeing the same thing? So I saw this excellent video, now in slide 13, created by AI Telly. As you can see, they put the shooter again to the far right. And then they do the trajectory of the shots. And especially the shot that hits Trump's ear. And so that's the next shot. It shows that it's 137 meters, 450 feet. The window would be a little bit further behind that. And so then they show the perspective from the sniper in that position. And indeed, the tree that we saw in the earlier thing is to the right. It does not interfere with the line of sight to Trump's position. And so based upon the sniper being in that position with the calculations that they did, again, that's the position that the other news media were putting the sniper at. You can see that at that angle, the bullet grazes Trump's ear because it's flying parallel to his head at that orientation. So my independent calculations agree with their independent calculations that the flight of the bullet came from the area of that second window. So again, the next slide shows, the bullet path. And then now finally, the other slide from AI Telly. By the way, they did a great job. Again, it shows the sniper there on the roof. That's where the sniper had to be in order to make those shots. But we know now that Crooks was not in that position, that he was to the right, a significant distance. So finally, we go to the final slide. And so it's not a sniper on the roof in that position. It's a sniper in that open, elevated, unsecured window with a direct line of sight of President Trump that was left unsecured.
All right, I'm going to leave it here. I don't want to play too much of this video. I don't want to get banned on YouTube for playing other people's videos. But I thought this was probably one of the best videos I've watched on the entire situation. I do have other stuff to play real quick. The rest of the stuff is from Redacted, which also did good coverage. But I thought this was a very good put together video with renderings by another company independently. But this is the thing, right? Crooks was shot here, and yet many of the official narratives are going to have him somehow magically, unless he can teleport from one side of the roof to another side of the roof in a matter of 12 seconds and reset up to shoot again with a different gun. Because if you combine the videos together, and I think that's what they do here as well. I think they go back to here. Yeah, they pull up. They go to this. 1 second. I'll play one more thing.
Lots of other videos trying to piece some things together and to just answer some questions in my own mind, not necessarily to put out to other people. But what confirms what you're telling me is that same video. They're talking about the report of the actual shots, right? When you listen to the video from Trump's perspective, the main video that everybody has seen where Trump's in the picture and Trump speaking and looking at the teleprompter and whatnot, the sound like either a smaller caliber or they're farther away than the first three shots.
And then that one more. That's the 6 I'm unclear on. Let's listen to this again. Muffled, and then right? That's what I hear.
I can tell you this. People are going to say, well, that was the sniper. Well, there's disparaging stories. First of all, they say the sniper shot one time. So the counter sniper fire should have only been one round, and that one round came much later after that first 8 or 9 shots. So they're saying that the first 8 or 9 shots were from Crooks. But when you listen to this audio, and of course I'm going to be playing this, it's very obvious that not only are those first 3 rounds different, but even it almost makes you wonder if there's even a third gun because there's a third different sound.
And then that one more. That's the 6 I'm unclear on. Let's listen to this again.
Do not have...
So this is actually critical evidence.
So these are the first 3 shots here. 1, 2, 3. Then there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in rapid fire. Then there is a 6th shot. And then there is the counter sniper shot like 10 seconds later that kills Crooks. And that's what they continue to talk about in this video. All links are in the video description. So, you know what, before we discuss this, right, let me play a couple of redacted videos, because also in the last couple of days, I was listening to like people talking, you know, like again, Twitter, all kinds of messages. They were saying, so both of these, so far the scenario is Crooks is on one side. Another shooter is in the building where cops were supposed to be, shooting from the window. They're at the same distance, approximately 400 feet. So approximately 150 yards away, meters away. The yards, meters are similar. Then I also heard like, hey, based on the caliber of bullets, there were different bullets, different sounds. But also there were reports that someone was shooting from 400 yards away. So more than double the distance away, there was another shooter. That might have been that 6th shot. So not technically 6th shot, the 9th shot, right? Because there was 1, 2, 3, then there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in rapid procession, which is probably Crooks. Then there was one more shot. Where did that other shot come from? And this is where Redacted was talking about. But before that, they also did a quick video on the breach of security. We're going to watch this real quick. Let me get 1.5x. It is on 1.5x real quick. And then I'll put it all together.
Called the Pac-Man perimeter. So let's take a look at this. The reason it's called calling the Pac-Man perimeter is because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like Pac-Man. How? Let's keep this up on the screen. How is the rooftop that Dallas Alexander was just talking about excluded from the Secret Service or State Police security bubble that was set to be? It's
literally the only thing you can climb in that radius.
Right, well,
yeah. Like we don't need that.
You just pointed out. Also, you can see the water tower in that image. Like that water tower is a pretty high vantage point where you can get a pretty good view too. Like I mean, I'm no military sniper, but like he said, like Fortnite or just any first-person shooter game, like that's where you would go.
I mean, I'd almost rather you flip the Pac-Man over so that the mouth of the Pac-Man is over the lake that's right there, the retention pond that's right there, where people in the water, right? You can flip it around and actually let's make that a dead zone. Instead, there's a roof that's 150 yards away, and yes, a water tower that's right there. An unbelievable level of incompetence. You know, I asked this weekend, was it?
They go in weeks, sometimes even months ahead of time to look at these places, and your main objective is what all has a vantage point on the podium. And so they look at everywhere around that area, and I'm saying like weeks or sometimes months in advance to see all the vantage points. That is a perfect vantage point right to that podium.
Yes, in fact, we used to live in Florham Park, New Jersey, and there's an airport there where President Trump would fly into when he wanted to go into his Bedminster Club. And so we would get notices that the overpasses in that area would be closed during certain days.
All right, let's just go through these real quick. So this is another building. So this is another possibility. This building, it's a gymnasium that was closed. This building is approximately 400 yards away. So whenever you hear reports that there were two shooters, but the second shooter was 400 yards away, 400 meters away, 400 yards away versus Crooks, who was 150 away, that this is another possibility for a shooter, and they even have the point right there to this open window. Let's quickly take a look at they should show you a Google map of where this building is.
This line of sight. Look at these windows. Look at the roof line. This is all from a vantage point facing the stage where President Trump was located. Okay, and we'll just sort of spin this around here so you can just get a sense of the depth here as we go towards the fairgrounds where President Trump was speaking.
This is the other building.
Now, same line of sight. So thanks for the tip, by the way. I'm sure you're watching right now. Thank you for this tip. So Butler Gymnastics, I want to take a look now at a map that we put together just so you get an understanding of the line of sight. The Trump stage, Thomas Crooks roof location, and Butler Gymnastics Club line of sight. Straight line. And now let's just plug in the distance to confirm this, in which I did, using latitude and longitude and using the distance calculator to identify the distance on this location, from this location. And very simple to do once you have the actual coordinates, plug in the coordinates between Butler Gymnastics Club. And we're not saying, by the way, that anything happened there. We don't know. But that is a perfect line of sight. And here's the distance then to the stage. You're able to place this right here and then calculate the distance from the Butler Gymnastics Club across that field right to the stage at the fairgrounds where President Trump was speaking. And as you can see, the distance there right above it is about 0.2885 of a mile, which is about almost exactly 500 yards, roughly, give or take a few yards, depending on where, if there was a shooter in that location, where those yards would have, could have been 490, 495, something like that.
So, more information. We contacted the Butler Gymnastics Club today, waiting for a response from them because right now they're closed for the summer on Saturdays. So that location is closed for the.
Okay, so that's another interesting aspect of it. Where did that final shot come from? That was, or the first 3 shots. I think it's, so that's another possibility of where that shooter came from. So anytime people talk about, hey, there was another bullet, different type of bullet, or a different type of shot based on sound and based on, you know, the speed of the bullet that came from 400 to 500 yards away, that's a possibility. Then there is another possibility, and you can see it here, and someone in the comments already, oh no, this is a communications breakdown. We can talk about that after. So I think it's this video. Someone in the comments mentioned that, yeah, they saw videos of someone on top of the water tower. Yes, so here is a video on that, another interesting video.
Added some text so you can see a figure moving on top of this water tower. So take a look at your screen here.
George, a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
There's a person. You'll see him disappear. Behind
now you see that figure disappear.
Wait.
Now you see that figure reemerge. Okay, now the figure reemerges. So interesting, right? Now we're going to zoom in. You can see this dark figure at the very top here, as President Trump is speaking, right before the shots are fired, and then this person right after, about 4 seconds after the shots are fired, steps out. You can listen to the ducks out of view.
And they had been right by the fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower, there was one by the fence.
And still, obviously, initial reports. But we do know. First crack of the gunfire, and I just screamed, it's the sniper, and he was firing down toward the water tower.
That's what we're hearing.
Gentleman behind me, I was one seat, he was to the right of me, he could see the sharpshooter behind Trump. He said the sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here.
So unbelievable. And almost everyone in the chat is saying, I see it. Yes, I see it. I knew right from the beginning that this was.
Right. So, and then I have 2 more videos. One of them is about the grueling physical requirements you need to have to be a Secret Service agent. They have a level 1 version where you only have to do 15 push-ups and 23 sit-ups. That is their physical requirement, and you only need to run 1.5 miles in 20 minutes. Okay, and you actually don't even have to run the entire time. You could also like walk a part of it as long as you get to the finish line in 19 minutes, just under 20 minutes. So these are their insane physical requirements. Guys, I can guarantee you I am beyond level 8 right now, and I barely exercise at all. And I can do all of this. I can easily run 1.5 miles in 12 minutes. Though running was never my strong suit. Maybe not 1.5 miles in 12. I may have to, practice for like a month. But then I'll easily be able to do it. Running was never really something I focused on. But yes, I can easily do more than 44 consecutive push-ups right now in proper form. That would not be that big of a problem for me. And I barely work out these days. Okay, so this is the DEI insanity, and this is just talking about the breakdown in communication, which we don't need to watch. So, putting it all together, actually, I'm going to use this video because Redacted seems to be the only ones that focused on the Butler Gymnasium. Oh, sorry, this is the tower video. The Butler Gymnasium, this video, and if I just go here, I should have made this bigger. And if I just go to where they're showing you the Google map, wait, where did it go? How did it go? There it is. Or is this not the right one? Shit. No, it's a different one. What the fuck? Damn. Why can't I find it? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Right there. This is what I wanted.
So Butler Gymnastics, I want to take a look now at a map.
Right. So Crooks is on this side of the roof. It appears that someone was shooting out of this window with a perfect line that actually hit Trump. Then there was someone else possibly back here. And then the water tower is somewhere. I'm not sure where the water tower is on this map. I think it's like over here somewhere on this side. So I honestly, in my opinion, this is my, not from watching these videos and a few others, in my opinion, the first 3 shots came from the window. The first of those shots grazed Trump's ear, leaving the possibility that the first 3 shots came from the gymnasium. Crooks fired the 5 shots that you hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the final 6th shot came from the Butler Gymnasium. I don't think the guy on the water tower fired off anything, because from that grainy video, it looks like he was standing. He was probably just looking to make sure and communicating with these two. And Crooks was the patsy on the wrong side of the roof. Otherwise, the story would have lined up better. I don't think he ever made it to that side because the cop got in the way that climbed up and saw him and then jumped off. So I think the cop interrupted the whole thing, which sped up this guy shooting. And it looked like, based on that first video, the cop looked at him from here, from the left side, which means the cops would have been in full view of a potential sniper in the building behind the building of the roof where Crooks was on the wrong side of. So he never made it to his proper shooting position. The shots had to start going earlier. Crooks fired off 5 shots after the first 3. Crooks gets shot way later. Someone else fires off a shot either from the tower or from the gymnasium, probably the gymnasium. That's where all those rumors came from. There was another set of shots or a shot that was further distance away. It's possible that the first 3 shots came from the Butler Gymnasium and the final 6th shot came from that window. That's also possible, but to me, the other scenario makes more sense. And the guy on the tower was just a lookout. Maybe he also had a gun, but but from this angle, he clearly didn't shoot. He also could have fired off 3 shots. And then there's other videos that shows which bystanders got hit. And some bystanders got hit on this side of the stage. And then one got hit back here. So the bullet that grazed Trump's ear probably hit one more person. And there was another video that talked about how that bullet hit a metal rail and kind of exploded as well. I think one of the redacted videos talked about that first. So now I'm going to leave it open to you guys since you're on the stream with me. What do you think? Because I just explained what I think.
Okay, I guess I'll go first, if it's okay, Mechanic. So I did see the Legally Armed America video first, and then I saw the Peak Prosperity video after I saw the Legally Armed America video. And I did see one of the other videos that you showed, but I wasn't really watching it. I just kind of had it on in the background as I was like going around the house doing other things. So I wasn't really paying attention, but I did see 3 of the videos you showed. So one thing that I want to note, and I think it's important to take note of this, is that the videos all contradict each other. So if you believe one video, which means you have to disbelieve some parts of the other videos, which is fine. But just know that these aren't converging facts. These are all diverging facts that all go into different.
I don't agree with that, right? Because I just laid out a scenario where all the videos combine into one conclusion.
No. Well, yes, you can probably come up with a story that matches all 3. But if you take each one for what it is, they do contradict each other. But one of the things I want to point out is just let me just ask you, Tone. Do you think that the audio from the Peak Prosperity video, which was, I guess, the first video that was shown, but it was the second video that I saw. So I saw that one second, even though that one was made first. So the audio from that video, do you think that matches a 400-yard shot based on what he's saying in that video? Because to me, it doesn't. It sounds like a much closer shot than 400 yards based on the time it takes from the crack from when you hear the report. It doesn't sound like a 400-yard shot to me. What do you think?
So here's the thing, right? The 400-yard shot would have been a bigger gun with a bigger bullet, right? So it's the final shot, which is the 9th shot. I actually, the one thing I don't like about the Peak Prosperity video is that, I mean, this was super confusing for me. Like I had to watch this twice. The one thing I didn't like in the Peak Prosperity video is that, where is it? Right here, right? He has these as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but in reality, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. Okay, so I wish he labeled these very, very differently. I wish he labeled these as 1, 2, 3, then 5. Again, in my opinion, these 5 that he has them as 1 to 5 came from crooks. Okay, and the first 3 either came from the window in the building behind crooks, if he was in the proper position, or these 3 came from the gymnasium. And the final shot came from the window, but I think that's unlikely. I think that that 6th shot from the window would have been pointless because the guy in the window was so close, is way closer to Trump, and he already knows Trump is like on the ground, right? So what's the point of even making that shot? But if he's only making 1 shot from inside the window, it's easy for him to pick up the cartridge that ejects and, like, you know, hides it in his pocket, and he's probably wearing a cop uniform, right? Obviously, because that building may or may not have been secured by, may or may not have cops inside. This is the big controversy, right? The Secret Service is saying these buildings were like, the cops were in these buildings, and this was their staging area, and the cops are saying, no, we were doing traffic control. We were not inside these buildings. So there's huge disconnect on the information. I still think the first...
They may have been inside the buildings because they were trying to get out of the heat. Because it was a really hot day. They may have just gone into the building, not because they were, like, you know, stationed there, but just because, damn, it's really hot outside. Let me just go inside for a minute, cool down for a minute.
Possibly, right? And if there was a guy in a Secret Service uniform inside that building with a rifle, they're not going to question it, right? Like, again, if it's an inside job by the deep state, and if there's a sniper in that window, then the cops aren't going to say much. But anyway, I still think these first three shots, and yes, and even he says he's not sure about the 6th shot. The 6th shot just sounds different. And that different in the 6th shot to me sounds, look, the volume of the 6th shot is the lowest, right? Because it's probably furthest away from where it was shot. These are the loudest, right? These are the loudest, probably a slightly higher caliber bullet than what Crooks was using. These are like the little volume spikes, because Crooks was outside. This was coming from the inside. Again, this is not my non-professional opinion, right? I'm just analyzing all these videos. Crooks was these guys. The first 3 came from inside the building behind Crooks, which was a loud sound, but it was muffled because it was coming out of inside the building. And then the final shot, and the reason why it was a bigger bullet than what Crooks was using, so it was louder, but it was from way further away. And all 3 of them, you know, Crooks was not in proper alignment because he never made it to his designated patsy area. He was off on the side of the roof. So that's kind of how I have combined all of these videos together that I linked in the video description.
Yeah, I think if I can offer my opinion quickly on it, I think it's, you know, this phrase, don't ascribe to malice what can be, you know, explained sufficiently by incompetence. I hate it because it's a false dichotomy. It's usually a combination of both. And to what degree, it's almost a red... I agree that it seems actually pretty obvious that it's multiple shooters and that this was another JFK-style total intentional assassination. But even if you take motorist position and you manage to sort of dismiss everything as coincidence or find inconsistencies within the position of conspiracy theorists, you don't let off the liability. Like an example of any real any real circumstance where you have a public dispute with someone and you go around trashing their reputation, saying they're Hitler and they're a disgusting person and that they want to destroy democracy and all this, if that person ends up dead, I know you're all going to hold me responsible for it, and I'm going to have to resign from whatever position I'm in, because that's just how things work. It's you can't trash someone for years, and this is why they started saying, please don't guess at what the motive of the shooter is. We don't know, and can we lower the temperature? That is the remark of someone with a guilty conscience. And even if your finger wasn't on the trigger, you still hold responsibility for it. I don't care if it was technically you that fired the bullet or not. In this case, it seems pretty obvious that they were very few degrees removed from it. If I tell you to go over and shoot someone and you do it, I don't get to go, wasn't me. So how related the shooter was, how much MK Ultra style shit was going on, where they give the guy the bullets and the training or whatever, or it can just be pure stochastic terrorism where you incite people over and over again. You undermine the security of what the guy's supposed to be going through, and you just assume that statistically, with Trump doing another 40 rallies before it, we back off the secret security and we up the rhetoric to the point where someone's going to try it and they'll probably succeed. Even to some degree, no matter where you go in between those two extremes, the guy's probably going to end up dead, and you're probably going to not be held directly responsible for it. I just think even if you dismiss the conspiracy theories and you go, yeah, it was just one guy and yeah, he acted alone, I'm sorry, the responsibility still lies with the people that clearly are motivated either to throw him in jail or to get him off the ballot some other way, or to directly just have him murdered when none of that works. To me, you have to believe the intentions of everyone with that framing, even if you can't directly draw a link between the actual shooter everyone agrees is the shooter and, like, you don't see him shaking hands with Jill Biden or something and being handed a rifle. You don't need to see that to have this perspective on it. It's clear where the murderousness lies, and it's clear who's responsible for it, and you don't get to go, hey, let's turn down the rhetoric now. And they're not doing that. They're not. They're saying, let's lower the temperature and political violence is bad. Yeah, the reason you're having to say that is because you've been saying the opposite for years. So I'm sorry, like, even if you want to be blue-pilled about it and go, there's no conspiracy here, it was just one guy and everyone was incompetent, that's not, you still have to.
I'm not willing to say there was no conspiracy yet. Right now I'm saying it. Well, first of all, just to touch on one point you're making, Mechanic, is that if you do say it's obviously a conspiracy and that it was obviously the deep state trying to get rid of Trump, then you detonate your first point, your other point, which was that all this vitriol and rhetoric against Trump has caused some crazy person to go take a shot. So you're actually excusing all that rhetoric by saying it was a deep state plot. So, and I do think it could be a combination of both. It could be some malice and some incompetence, like a lot of CIA operations are usually a combination of both. But I'm not willing to say there was no conspiracy. I'm willing to entertain that he was put up to it, because we don't know his motivations yet. We don't know if he was a political radical yet, because we haven't found any of his writings. We don't know if he was just a crazy person trying to impress some actress.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the social media of this guy has been scrubbed?
For two reasons.
Do you think they desperately came out saying, please don't jump to any conclusions about the motive? It's because they're exactly what you think they are. There's already been pictures leaked of him wearing women's clothes. He's obviously a left-wing ideologue, been driven to the point of insanity by left-wing ideology, that's been told that this Nazi that's going to throw you in jail for being trans or something. We know.
I'm no fan of the FBI. I think the FBI has botched a lot of the investigations that they've done, and they may be botching this one too. But again, FBI botching an investigation. They botched the Olympic Park bombing so badly. They botched how many other investigations? So it's possible this may have been a Meg Whitmer situation where they, the FBI found some guy who was disturbed and you say, hey, maybe we can, get this guy, arrest this guy for plotting to kill Trump. But it turned out he actually went through with it and caught the FBI with their pants down. Now they're trying to cover up. If there is a conspiracy, most likely that's what it is. I don't buy the second shooter conspiracy yet. I haven't seen any evidence of it. I may change my mind if I see some hard evidence for it. But I do think that if there was a conspiracy, it may have been more along the lines of the Meg Whitmer stuff, where they got a bunch of yahoos and said, "Hey, let's go kidnap the governor," or something like that.
Wait, why don't you buy to me, the audio evidence of two very different sounding weapons is conclusive evidence, because
Well,
like, I'm an audio engineer, right? That's my background, and I've tried to explain it in another way, which is maybe the guy had a finger over the microphone of his phone or something, but you don't hear a change in the sonic quality of anything else going on in that recording. You just hear there is not a loss of high frequencies, which would imply taking a phone, starting with the phone in your pocket and then taking it out, or something of that nature, where you can hear the overall sonic quality change. You don't. You just hear and then they're completely different weapons. That's only Crooks would have had to have had two guns, or the absolute only way I can steel man this just being a lone shooter with one rifle is if he used a different caliber round for the second load of things. Like, so if his magazine had different rounds inside it that had different sonic qualities. But even that just sounds ridiculous. The rapidity of it, like, I've seen the explanation being he moved location. How are you moving location as a sniper, to the point where the sonic quality can change so significantly in such a short amount of time? That's not possible. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, he would have had motive to move because Trump took cover. So if Trump took cover, there would be no point in him continuing to fire from that spot. Maybe it was like, maybe I can get, move over and get a better angle from, try to take more shots at Trump. That's I'm thinking. As far as how he did it, I don't know. He rolled, he crawled. I don't know.
You can very much hear, just from the sonic quality of it, that it's not the same weapon. Even if you move to the point where you are no longer obstructed by something, that wouldn't create the higher pitch of it. You might have more high frequency in it due to a less obstructed path between the weapon and the microphone in the person's cell phone, but it wouldn't explain the actual higher fundamental frequency of it, if that makes sense. Like,
I get you. I'm not a firearms audio.
You can have more high frequencies in there as upper resonances, but you can't just have a higher fundamental. That doesn't make sense.
I'm not a firearms audio expert, but I don't know. I mean, I accept that you're an audio expert, but I don't know if you're a firearms audio expert.
My firearms knowledge is terrible, but it seems to me self-evident that those are two different weapons. That should be the default assumption here, in my opinion. To me, it's kind of like denial.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I'm assuming one lone gunman until I get more evidence. It's the same reason why if someone pitches me a shitcoin, I automatically am not interested. It's possible there may be 1 out of 1,000 shitcoins that is not a scam, that is an actual legit project, but I'm just not going to spend the time to investigate each shitcoin. So the fact that almost every single assassin has been a lone gunman is a clue right there. There have been conspiracies to kill the president, but normally first of all, they didn't work. The conspiracy fell apart because it's hard to control, 6 or 7 moving parts, let alone thousands of moving parts. But almost every single one of these guys has ended up being lone gunmen. So to me, that's where you start. It doesn't mean that's where you end, but that's where you start. You do obviously want to look at his context. Who did he have contact with? Was he communicating with anyone? Was he getting paid by someone? If he was a patsy and they were, a lot of these things, though, there's going to be evidence for it. It can't be the invisible man told him to go do it, and there's no evidence of this invisible man. There has to be some evidence of that we can point to, not just that. Well, it looks sus. It looks sus. I can't exactly explain this one anomaly. Therefore, there must have been multiple shooters. I don't buy that.
I understand the heuristics of it, but to me, it's just naive to want evidence as directly incriminating as that. Like, there are argument by analogy or whatever, but if you're in a relationship with someone and you walk into the room and they suddenly turn their phone away from you or something like that, you don't just go, well, I don't have evidence. I didn't see a text message from some guy sending his dick to my girlfriend or something like that. You don't get to do that. You can, but then you're naive. Like, there was immediately just a complete whitewashing of everything. The guy has never existed on social media at all. The only photo is like 10 years ago from some college blurry pic or something taken from behind. And, an immediate insistence that we shouldn't jump to conclusions around the guy's motive. To me, that's just a total admission of guilt. Like, there wasn't a direct, this guy, Trump, like, you even have the media saying Trump fell over. Like, and wasn't it the only time CNN have ever attempted to cover a rally? I'm not going to get into that because I agree with you. A lot of the stuff is reaching. A lot of the stuff can even be misinfo just to make the conspiracy theorists look stupid. But
True.
I think the explanation is somewhere in between. I definitely think there's conclusive evidence.
Some of these videos could be feds. I will accept that. They could be feds trying to confuse people with.
It's possible. All right, guys. Let me get back to my leading theory. And I really wanted to avoid Googling specific terms. I wanted to just find this on a Google map, but I had no choice. I had to Google, Butler Gymnasium and water tower. So again, and I couldn't put the exact points, right? So now that I have the Google map in front of me, Trump is speaking on stage right here. These two buildings, Trump is facing this way. Trump is facing into Evans City Road direction. These two buildings behind him have counter snipers. Okay, these were like the Secret Service snipers are on these two buildings. No one is securing this area. The entrance is over here. No one is securing this area. Anyone can just walk right up to these buildings. Apparently, the cops are staging all around here, maybe even inside. Crooks gets shot right here on this side of the building. As some of the videos point out, the bullet that hit Trump, when he was looking in that direction, the bullet slides right past his head, and the best trajectory of that bullet is either from the edge of this building, the opposite edge of this building that Crooks was not at, or the open window in this building right behind him. Again, my theory is the first three shots came from this window, and the first shot hits Trump's ear. Now, someone said that what about the possibility that the first three shots was a counter sniper, like a good guy, a white hat shooter, alerting the Trump Secret Service to get Trump down because the real shooters are going to be shooting him? I don't buy that. I still think the very first bullet hit Trump's ear because he just happened to move his head. It also so happens that a similar line of sight could have, like the same trajectory, could have happened from the gymnasium, though it's not as perfect of a line to me, okay? So this is why, another reason why I think only the final shot, the 9th shot, came from the gymnasium. And then there was something about a shadowy figure on top of the water tower that may or may not have also been shot, right? It's also possible that the 6th shot was not from the gymnasium, but the 6th shot was somebody firing and killing the guy in the tower, which may or may not have happened, right? Like, we haven't seen any confirmation that there was somebody that got shot in the tower other than some eyewitnesses in the area from those videos. So I still have no idea what's going on with the water tower. But if the 9th shot did not come from 400 feet away, and the first 3 shots did not come from 400 feet away, where are the reports coming from that there were shots from 400 yards away, not 400 feet away? These buildings are 400 feet away. So let's stick to yards or meters, yards. 150 yards away is where Crooks is, and the open window is in the building behind him. 400 yards away is the Butler Gymnasium, which also has a beautiful line of sight if you are looking to take out Trump. The water tower is a completely different situation. There may have also been shots from the water tower, and there may have also been someone taken out, somebody on the water tower. So there's more questions than answers. Also, if I was on that Congress, everyone is going to ask all these kinds of questions. I hope someone asks the question of the law enforcement, Secret Service, the cops on the ground, the FBI. We clearly hear 9 shots in the audio, plus the counter sniper. So in total, there were 10 shots. How many shell casings were found, and what caliber were the bullets, and what kind of guns were used? Because the only gun that would be recovered is the AR that Crooks was using. So how many shell casings from Crooks's gun were found? All of them should have been found, right? So that we would know how many shots Crooks actually got off. Was it the first 3? Was it the next 5 in rapid fire, which I think it was? Or was it the 6th shot, the 9th shot, the final shot, okay? So his shell casing should have definitely been found. And what other casings were found? Is anyone even going to go to this building and take a look at it? Look for prints, look for any kind of evidence?
Every one of those shell casings should be accounted for. I don't want to hear anything about we couldn't find one or it was disappeared. We need, and I'm hopeful that that's what's happening. Every single shell casing should be accounted for.
No, I completely disagree with you, motorist. Only the Crooks's shell casings should be found, and obviously the counter sniper. That's evidence of killing Crooks. And Crooks's shell casings will be found, and they might magically find 9 shell casings from Crooks, right? But in reality, if there was a shooter from the window in the building behind Crooks, he picked up those shell casings and walked away. If there was a shooter in this building, he picked up his shell casing or casings and walked away. And if there was someone in the water tower and he was killed, obviously they have the shell casings if he fired from there, which I highly doubt. It didn't look like he was laying down. It looked like he was standing and ducking in and out. I think he was the lookout.
It looked like there was something on top of the tower, possibly a person. I'm not willing to say for sure it was a person, but it looked like it was a figure on the top of the water tower, and it could have been a person.
It could have been 2 of them, right? One could have been laying down, and the other one was his, the spotter. So, again, we don't know what happened at the water tower. We don't know if anything happened at Butler Gymnasium. I can guarantee you they'll find shell casings from, but you know what? Our government agents are so fucking incompetent. They probably don't even know that they need to look for the shell casings. That's how much confidence I have in the current FBI plus Secret Service at the moment. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Regarding it almost looked like, I'm not willing to say this for sure, but it almost looked like the guy on top of the water tower took cover when he heard shots. So
yes,
it could have possibly just been someone just up there watching the thing, and then they heard shots and then they took cover. I don't know if they were even involved.
Absolutely possible, and it's also possible he got shot for it, right? Because the water tower is not that far. It's literally right. It's almost the same distance away as Crooks himself.
Tone, before you, I don't know how long you're going, but before you end the stream, I did send a meme that I made into the that supports my side of the argument into the Telegram group, and Bernoulli reacted to it. I don't know if you want to put it up for a second, but I thought it was a banger, but only got 2 likes. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, this is why I think there were 3 shooters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, and
I'm not willing to discard anything. I'm just saying I'm skeptical right now, but I could change my mind. But right now, I don't see any evidence. And I think with the movement, again, I just pulled that out of my ass. I just made that up. No one told me he moved. I'm just saying it kind of matches the peak prosperity video, and it also kind of matches the legally armed America video. If the shooter Crooks did move and fire a second volley from a different vantage point, it would kind of match both videos. Even though it looked like in the peak prosperity video they were saying the first 3 shots were someone else, and then the rest of them were Crooks. And then in the legally armed America, I think they were saying that the first 3 shots were Crooks, and the rest of them were somebody else. So that's why I'm saying they almost sound like they're contradicting each other. I think they were all
because we don't know who fired. We don't know who fired from which weapon, and the casings. I mean, like all you need is casings from Crooks, which should be evidence. All you need is the casings from Crooks and the gun, and it's very easy to prove which ones it was. I mean, you can literally recreate the situation. You get an identical gun to his, identical bullets to what he was using, go up at the same location where he was, you fire them off, and you match the audio, right? Like it's like literally a 12-year-old should be able to figure this out. Maybe even an 8-year-old that plays like war video games can figure this out, right? You can easily figure out which sound from the Peak Prosperity video was Crooks shooting, and then where were the others shooting from, and I don't think those casings will ever be found, again, unless those guys were shot and killed, and we don't know about that.
Well,
but
one thing
again,
I'll say to support your side is that we still don't know exactly how the Las Vegas shooting happened, and the FBI took the lead on that one. I'm not saying there was multiple shooters or it was conspiracy, but I'm saying it was that whole investigation was a black box. The Las Vegas shooter.
No, I know nothing about the Las Vegas shooting because the Las Vegas shooting took place before my interest in this kind of insanity. During the Las Vegas shooting, like if I did have a focus on, it was more geopolitics, more international politics. This is just too big of a story not to cover. And since I am unreasonably opinionated, I thought I'd throw my my opinions out there on what I think happened. Okay, until I see some kind of evidence otherwise, that's what I believe. I believe the first 3 shots came from the window. The next 5 shots came from Crooks. The 6th shot probably came from the gymnasium. And the water tower was either an observer or another shooter that never got a chance to take a shot off, though it's possible that he did. And he may or may not have been counter shot, but there is no other shot, right? Remember, the 6th shot might have also been the shot killing the guy in the water tower, since there are eyewitnesses saying the guy in the water tower got shot. But then, how do you explain other statements already made that some of the bullets fired at Trump, or a bullet fired at Trump, came from a further distance than 150 yards? It's also possible the first 3 shots came from the Butler Gymnasium or the water tower, and there was nobody inside the window. No, it couldn't have come from the water tower because the line is different. Unless you take the view that Crooks was able to hit Trump, but again, the line is different, right? Like the shot that hit Trump had to have come from the gymnasium or from the window. It had to have been these two. One of them, I think it was the window.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, so that is my analysis. This is my zero professional analysis on what the hell happened that day.
I'm not willing to say that the sniper, the Crooks moved, but it was the first thing that came to my mind that could explain it. So I don't know. Maybe it turns out he didn't move. I don't know, or maybe he did move, and I just had a lucky guess because I'm not a professional at this, just like you. I'm just I always like to watch things with a skeptical mind because I especially don't want to agree with something just because it matches my skepticism of government. So I don't want to say, oh, well, I don't like the CIA, therefore they must have been behind this. I want to be careful about my own biases.
So I probably still have a lot more videos to watch. I have a few of them queued up, but they're significantly longer. I don't know if I'll have time. I got to catch up on other stuff. Someone sent me this video, Secret Service counter sniper interview. It's 2 hours long. I think it's just going to be talking. I prefer the videos that show you, I prefer them. Doesn't mean that they're not bullshit. You know, like I prefer videos that like actually show it to you visually versus just talking. I mean, I hope these videos get dissected and debunked if they're false. That's what I hope to see. But this video I have queued up. I have these are not in the video description. All the other videos are. This video I have, it's
How big? But here,
again, I'm not sure what I haven't heard anything from this interview, but I do have it queued up. And yeah, so these two on the Trump situation, someone just said in the live chat, when Trump was getting into his SUV, there was another uniformed person that pointed his gun at him, which seems weird. But again, I can chalk that up to DEI hires that don't know who to point the gun at, or know how to holster a gun. I already talked about that in our last stream.
Good job spotting that video. I had to find that video, but I found it where she tried to holster it twice, and then the third time she was finally able to get it in.
Right, but then after she fucked up holstering it twice, she pretended like she never holstered it, and then tried again like 5 seconds later.
I also didn't like those two SWAT dressed guys jumping up onto the stage and pointing their guns at the crowd. I didn't like that, although it seemed like they were kind of pointing it down. And again, I just thought that was just police incompetence. And if I was
fucking clown show, man.
Yeah. My complete non-professional advice, like if I was to give the Secret Service advice, assuming they're trying to do the right thing, my advice would be don't offload responsibilities completely to the police department. You can tell the police department, you guys are in charge with this, but have actually a couple of Secret Service people there with them just in case to observe it, at the very least to observe, in case something like that happens, so that they can say, get Trump off the stage, get Trump off the stage, there's a guy on the roof. And I don't think the police thought to do that. They were just saying, "Oh, there's a guy on the roof. Let's go arrest him," or let's go talk to him, see what he's doing.
Yeah, this is another video that I didn't play. I'll play like just a minute of it real quick. This is just
so these are two big glaring questions that need to be answered. The CERT team normally works with Secret Service very, very closely, hand in hand. In fact, I mean, they're looking at the rooftops, they're looking at areas for breaches of security, they're looking at any possible breach point, frankly, and they will recommend and put snipers on multiple breach points or points of access or a place where they feel that anybody might gain access that shouldn't gain access. So you have to ask yourself, why wasn't that engaged for that particular day? We all saw that it took, 3 minutes. 42 seconds before any return fire was offered. It has also been stated by Dan Bongino that the protocol that day was do not fire unless fired upon. Now, in any given circumstances in the past, the CERT team, if they see somebody within a presidential motorcade or in a presidential gathering, if you see somebody with a long arm, they're going to take the shot. There's going to be shoot and ask questions later. That was a stand down. So there's major questions around that. But I think probably one of the most alarming things, in addition to all of that, was the lack of communications, interagency communications. And I can explain if you're interested.
Yeah, please do explain. I mean, and you bring up a great point here about this, the return fire. I just spoke to a special operations sniper who was in charge of, who was spent 17 years as an elite sniper, but part of a group that would protect presidents, prime ministers. There's absolutely no way they wouldn't have returned fire. In fact, they would have fired first. So this is a glaring problem in this story.
Correct. You really didn't see anybody besides Secret Service around. And again, we could talk about the JV squad that was around the president that day, as evidenced by the videos. I mean, again, the DEI hires, and I am not a feminist, I'm not anti-woman, I'm not pro-woman, I'm pro the best person for the job in any given circumstance, whatever creed, color, religion you are, I don't care. But you always want the best person, especially around a presidential candidate and former president, in a situation where the hostility and the rhetoric towards President Trump by the establishment, I don't just mean the left, I mean the establishment, including rhinos, is at an all-time deafening high, almost like a deep state death rattle, as they know they're losing in the message and passes it in the ear to the next person and so on and so forth. That is ostensibly what was happening that day during the Trump rally. Typically, you have a local county controller who assigns a channel on your radios for your state, your federal, and your local agencies that are present. When the federal government is involved, specifically the Secret Service, they have their own channel. So while the local, state, and federal agencies may share and coalesce around a channel, the feds are always on their separate channel. So that is, of course, problematic in of itself. But typically, you have somebody in the middle that's relaying information so that in real time, they're sharing information as quickly as possible. Something happened that day because you could see the mass confusion, particularly when they were trying to get the president off. Again, you had a JV squad of Secret Service agents who couldn't even holster their gun properly in a timely fashion. They looked like it was sort of who's on first, Abbott and Costello routine, just trying to get the president into the car, save a couple of Secret Service agents that I've seen in detail around President Trump for a long time. But again, the interagency communication appeared not to.
Oh yeah, let's talk about her. Hold on, I totally forgot. Just got reminded. So this started coming out, and I saw this real quick. Now I don't buy it. It was this part. Let's play.
Watch this. If you want to puts the sign up. Something that said, take a look at what happened.
Shots go off.
She's completely normal, and then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the fuck? What the fuck? People are freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
I want to see that video.
She's not even freaking the fuck out. What the fuck? No. Watch this shit, dude. Watch. Watch. She sits down. Yep. Watch this. If you want to puts the sign up. Something that said, take a look at what happened.
Shots go off.
She's completely normal, and then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the fuck? What the fuck? People are freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
Well, Tone, we know for sure she's not in on the plot because I'm sure if she knew that there was bullets being fired at her, she wouldn't just not care.
Right. So
she
a
definitely
lot of
wasn't in on the plot,
speculation.
whoever she was.
A lot of speculation that she is this person, and I immediately, when this came up in my off-topic group chat, I said, "There's no way it's her." To me, she actually doesn't look like her. For starters. Second, if she is an FBI person, she wouldn't be a public FBI person. She would be more of an undercover FBI person that, Twitter people can't like easily spot her. And you can clearly see from this picture, she's a lot skinnier and slimmer than her. So I said that the other day when this showed up in our chat. And then there was an instant community node that pretty much seconded everything. And even talking about like a birthmark, without I didn't notice that, but saying how she has a way skinnier neck than her, which totally makes sense to me. As I noticed that as well. So to me, this is definitely not this FBI director, but I just thought it was interesting.
Well,
thought I'd mention it. Yeah, what's up?
She should not be getting any hate. That woman should not be getting it. If we had more people like her, we'd have. She did not freak out. She didn't start screaming like.
Patrick, your audio broke up, so I don't know what you said. Say it again.
Okay, I said if we had more people like her, she should not be getting any hate. Because if we had more people like her, we'd have more information. When the shooting started happening, she didn't just start screaming, and she didn't just start, panicking. She just calmly took out her phone and started recording, which is exactly what you want people to do.
Right, which it's a little narcissistic, but you would love to get the hands on this video.
Exactly.
Right. Like for example, if like I was saying earlier, like I was literally recording this storm my plane was about to fly into, and my plane just like drops, and people start screaming behind me. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be screaming. Like, I'd rather, like, if my plane is flying down to its, like, death, what's the point of screaming? I'd rather record it. And if my phone survives, like the passports on 9/11, at least people will have a better idea of what happened and what the pilots were saying on the thing, right?
And this is basically what the peak prosperity video was saying. He was complaining about all the people screaming that was muffling him trying to listen to the gunshots.
Right. Right. I mean, there's really no point in screaming. Let's just say in my video, you hear the whole plane screaming, but not me.
So you recorded something like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you. I'll send it to you.
You don't want to post it, huh?
I haven't decided if I want to post it.
Okay. All right. I won't. If you send it to me, I won't share it with anyone. Okay. You want to talk about
anyway?
Bukele?
All right. I think it's time to wrap this up.
You don't want to talk about Bukele? I see he's trending.
Yeah, I can briefly mention Bukele because of something that Trump said. I mean, I did listen to the Trump inauguration. He did, blame American crime on mostly Venezuela, partially on El Salvador. Now, Trump is misinformed. There was so much. First of all, why the fuck is Mike Pompeo speaking at the convention? Like, that guy is evil as hell that, convinced Trump to kill Soleimani, which, anyway, I know a lot of people are giving Trump credit, and I used to give Trump credit that Trump didn't start any wars. But in hindsight, I think that credit is misguided. And guys, I will do a specific video criticizing Trump and all the mistakes that were made and all the mistakes that he's probably going to make. Okay, so let me come off screen share for a minute. Oh, actually, no, let's pull up the Bukele tweet. Let me go to my off-topic group chat. Let me grab the Bukele thing.
By the way,
And,
it was no mistake. I want to make sure people understand. People saying Trump's misspoke. He was not misspeaking. He was talking about Bukele and El Salvador. I want to make that clear.
Right. So at first, I did think Trump was misspeaking and confused El Salvador for Venezuela. But oh man, what the hell? Whenever you're trying to find something, you can never find. Here it is. Here's the tweet. So at first, I actually thought that this was true because this is before I listened to Trump's inauguration. This is where he talked some shit about Bukele.
He said taking the high road.
Yeah.
Our country, a certain while our crime rate is going up, while crime statistics all over the world are going down because they're taking their criminals and they're putting them into our country. A certain country, and I happen to like the president of that country very much, but he's been getting great publicity because he's a wonderful shepherd of the country. He says how well the country's doing because their crime rate is down. And he said he's training all of these rough people. They're rough. He's training them. And I've been reading about this for 2 years. I think, oh, that's wonderful. Let's take a look at it. But then I realized he's not training them. He's sending all of his criminals, his drug dealers, his people that are in jails. He's sending them all to the United States. And he's different in that he doesn't say that. He's trying to convince everybody what a wonderful job he does in running the country. Well, he doesn't do a wonderful job. And by the way, if I ran one of the countries, many countries from all over, I would be worse than any of them. I would have had the place totally emptied out already.
If you go to the Trump video, it's right there. It's right below it, so you don't have to.
Oh,
look
is
for
it?
Yeah.
I'm looking for Bukele's tweet.
If you just right there, see it.
Oh, right there, perfect. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't find it. So Bukele said taking the high road, and then there was this tweet. I honestly think he was talking about Venezuela and just mixed them up. I would be surprised if they don't issue a statement to clarify this. So they're not going to issue a statement to clarify it because then Trump is going to sound like Biden and dementia, right? So
you froze. Tone, you're frozen. I got nothing after dementia. The last word I heard was dementia before you froze. Well, anyway, I guess I don't know if I've frozen or if Tone's frozen, but basically, I knew right away that he was talking about Bukele because he said he likes the guy. Are we still on the air, Tone?
Are you with me? I hope so.
You froze. We didn't hear anything after dementia.
Yeah, the electricity went out here in Panama, and so everything got shut down. And obviously my router is going to be resetting, so I had to jump to my hotspot real quick. See, when this happens, you have 60 seconds to get back online. Otherwise, the YouTube, otherwise the Zoom stream, shuts off. So I had 60 seconds to open up my hotspot and reconnect to my hotspot because it's going to take like 2-3 minutes for my router to get going again. My electricity's back. But even if my electricity wasn't back, I would have still gotten back online because my cell phone is fully charged. And as long as I have cell service, we're back online.
Well, what I was going to say, Tone, and I do have a tweet on this, is I knew right away he was talking about El Salvador because he said it was my friend. So when people were saying, like even Stacey Herbert said he may have misspoke, and Stacey Herbert, I guess, knows Trump and knows Bukele, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so, and because he said it's my friend, so he wouldn't be talking like that about Venezuela.
Right. So real quick, right? At first, I thought he misspoke, but then after I listened to the Trump speech, and he did talk about Venezuela and El Salvador. So Trump did talk shit about El Salvador and how they're sending their criminals to America. And that is just incorrect.
You're frozen again, Tone. Yeah, it's 100% incorrect.
Right.
Okay, you're
So,
back. You were back for a sec, but you froze again.
no, I'm still on my cell phone. Okay.
Okay. Tone, you're cutting in and out. Do you want to just end it here and then we can
El
talk?
Salvador.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're back. You keep coming back for a second and then you're gone for like 10. Okay, I think you're good now.
Let me connect back to my router then, because now that it's back.
Okay, but you said because it's not true. They're not. Bukele's not sending any criminals to.
So in my opinion, right? Like in my opinion, Bukele is not sending. Like Bukele arrested them all, and they are in El Salvador prisons now. It's possible Bukele is kind of sending them to the border. I don't believe that he is, but there is a bigger discussion to be made here. And those of you that watched Bitcoin Shooters documentary on El Salvador, first of all, MS-13 is a California gang of El Salvadorians, not an El Salvador gang. MS-13 began in California, and it's America that sent all of these El Salvadorians, even the ones that were born in America, to El Salvador to solve America's problem, right? So if anyone should be angry at creating sending criminals to their country, it's actually the United States, okay? The big gang in El Salvador started in the United States, and then the United States extradited them to El Salvador, right? So in a way, El Salvador can send them back to America technically, right? Because America started it. So there is a bigger situation here. Now, Venezuela, 100%. So Trump is absolutely right about Venezuela, but I don't think he's right about El Salvador.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, a lot of bad people left El Salvador in order not to get arrested by Bukele and came to America. That is totally true. But no one is talking about how America sent all of their criminals to El Salvador if they had any El Salvador, ancestry. And this took place in like the 90s, I think.
Have you changed your opinion on Milei a little bit? It seems like he's doing well. I know you were initially skeptical of him a little bit. Sorry, Tony, you're frozen again. Tone, I think we should just end it here. The internet is crap. We can talk. You can talk more about this some other time.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're back.
My electricity went out again.
Do you want to just end it here?
Like a flickering. Yeah, I think it's time to end the stream. I've been on for 2 hours anyway. But yeah, sorry, we covered a lot of topics. More to cover on the next video. Yeah, I got to catch up on my Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, what's going on in the Pacific. Just so much going on. It's insane. But this Trump thing, that's been taking up my attention this entire week.
Okay. I'm glad you guys talked about CrowdStrike earlier.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Hope this video was informative. And I will see you all on the next one. Not sure when on this channel, but catch me tomorrow morning. Milei doing well. I don't know. I haven't changed my mind on Milei yet. He's doing well for Argentinians, but I still believe he's a U.S. plant. So both things could be true, right? He could be doing things that are helping Argentinians in Argentina, and still a U.S. plant that will eventually, when the World Economic Forum calls and tells him to do X, he will do X.
And mechanics back to say goodbye, I guess.
No, I'm back to express. Where did you guys get to with this?
With Bukele and El Salvador?
No, man, I'm still on
with the
Trump.
Trump stuff? What did we end up on? Where did we end up?
We ended up with me being a tyrannical dictator, saying that my theory is accurate and no one else knows what they're talking about.
So what is the TLDR?
I think that's where we ended.
What's the what? I'm sorry.
What's the one sentence sum up of Tone's theory?
So if my Google map comes back, here's my theory. A guy in a window fires 3 shots at Trump, with the first shot hitting Trump's ear. Crooks then fires 5 shots from the right side of this first building. Might have killed a bystander, or the first 3 shots killed a bystander. I don't know. Then there was a 6th shot that was probably coming from the gymnasium. And then there was something on top of the water tower. And someone may or may not have been killed in the water tower. But if that person in the water tower got killed by something, I don't know, this is the confusing part to me. And then there was a counter sniper that killed Crooks. And all you need is the shell casings from Crooks's gun, which should all be accounted for, to know exactly how many shots he fired and to know exactly which caliber he fired, because we know which gun he was using. And then we can match that up with the audio footage, video with the audio, and then we know whether he fired shots 4 to 8 or shots 1 to 3. I think it was 4 to 8. But I don't think we'll ever get any other casings other than the counter sniper. That's kind of my view on the situation.
I think you have it right. I think it's pretty much open and shut that it's. Is there any counter to that where people are saying the clearly different sounding shots were fired by the counter snipers? Because I've seen the video of them, and I just see the guy sort of moving and reacting.
I haven't heard anything.
So I'm trying to plug holes in my story. The only hole in my story is someone is on top of the water tower. There are eyewitnesses that someone is on top of the water tower. And then there's eyewitnesses saying someone got shot on top of the water tower. If someone got shot on top of the water tower, then one of 2 things doesn't add up. That means that the immediate thoughts that that bullets were fired from 400 yards away, which the most plausible area is the gymnastics, right? Then.
Wait, Joe Biden just stepped down, I think.
Well, I don't know. I didn't find confirmation. I didn't find confirmation on that.
Joe Biden's Twitter just tweeted, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, blah, 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 blah. I'm stepping down."
Oh, it's stepping down as president, or just not accepting the nomination? There's 2 different things. He's stepping down.
It has to be both. It has to be both, right? If he's stepping down from trying to run, he's stepping down for a reason that shouldn't allow him to be president. It can't be the latter and not the former. He has to step down from both.
All right, here's the bit. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail after I finish my nap. About my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so blah, 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 blah. American people, there you go.
So wait, is he stepping down as president or no?
I think it's fake. I think someone hacked the.
It's not. It's Joe Biden's Twitter account.
Let me see.
I sent you the link, Tone, to the tweet.
But he's not controlling that account, is he?
Well, someone hacked his Twitter. All right, if you want, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. It may.
Wait. So you just read it. So wait, is he stepping down as president as well, or no?
Okay, I see his
not.
Twitter.
He's expressly not. as in the phrase, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term.
Okay, so he's not stepping down as president.
No, he's waiting it out till the end. They decided, I guess, don't.
He's just not. He's not accepting the nomination. So they're going to have kind of like an open convention where different people can throw their hats into the ring, and a bunch of delegates can vote on the nominee.
Okay, real quick, hold on. I have another theory. So because of the eyewitnesses that the water tower, whoever was on top of the water tower got shot, my new theory is, potential theory is as follows. There was nobody in that window. And the first 3 shots came from the gymnasium. That was the first 3 shots in the Peak Prosperity video. Okay, it still has the right line to hit Trump's ear. They were further away, bigger caliber gun, professional sniper that doesn't need to be this freaking close. This is the real, deep state professional sniper shooting from here.
Are you trying to show screen? Because you're not showing screen.
Oh shit, I'm not showing screen, my bad.
Bitcoin price is tanking since Biden announced that.
Oh shit! All right. Oh Jesus Christ! There's too much going on at the same time.
Mate, you live in interesting times. Alex Jones says Hillary is going for it, but he jumps the gun.
So again, this goes to my theory. The more certainty, the more markets react bullishly. With Joe Biden stepping down, yes, there is certainty that Joe Biden is not going to be on the ballot, but there's now more uncertainty to who is going to be on the ballot from the Democrats. And because there is uncertainty, whenever there is uncertainty, people sell speculative assets and go to cash. This is why Bitcoin rallied when the Trump assassination failed, and why Bitcoin is now tanking at first reaction due to Biden stepping down, because now there is more uncertainty as to who is actually going to be on the ballot. Okay, let's get back to this. All right. So because of the eyewitness testimony that someone on the water tower got shot, I am now slightly favoring a different scenario versus my original scenario. My original scenario was 3 shots fired from this window, then Crooks fires off 5 shots, then there is a 6th shot, but because of the already too many rumors swirling that shots were fired from 2 different distances, one being 150 yards and one being 400 yards, with the Butler Gymnasium being 400 yards, with the perfect line to hit Trump's ear. One shot could have been fired from here later, but then there was only one other shot from the counter sniper, actually not the front counter sniper. Ironically, it was the back counter sniper that shot Crooks. That leaves 1 shot unaccounted for if the eyewitness testimony is true that the guy on the water tower got clipped. That leaves a new possibility where the first 3 shots come from the gymnasium, the first of which hits Trump's ear. Also makes it a little more realistic, because if the guy is shooting so close to Trump, it's unlikely he would have missed with Trump turning his head. The shot being further away allows it to do that, which means that this video that did an incredible job, this video that did a super incredible job lining up the shot, should have probably lined it up to another possibility going all the way back to the gymnasium to see if it still lines up, because they are within the same line, but again, I'm not an expert. So this brings us 3 shots from here, then Crooks fires 5 shots, then a shot that takes out the guy in the water tower, who may or may not have been trying to also shoot at Trump, could have been just a bystander trying to get a glimpse of it. And then the final shot takes out Crooks. So if that happened, there's no way in hell they are getting those 3 casings. if the first 3 shots came from inside this building, this guy's got to tail it out of there real quick. I'm sure he's dressed, you know, like a Secret Service agent or whatever, or FBI. But him, you know, crawling on the floor looking for casings in this building surrounded by cops is probably how he gets caught. So his casings are probably in the building if he shot from here. But if he shot from here, he's got all fucking day to get those casings, right? Because the FBI still probably hasn't figured out that this building is of interest, right? So he probably can go back there tomorrow morning, unless they're watching this video, or Redacted, and pick up his damn casings, okay? Because I don't think this building is blocked off yet, all right? People can go there and do gymnastics tomorrow. So that's what probably is the most likely. No one's talking about this scenario that I just described. Redacted came the closest from what I saw. But yeah, so here's another possibility.
So what was the plan? The plan was to have some disturbed individual walk around, make himself obvious, attract a whole bunch of attention, get arrested, and then they shoot? Or was the plan for Crooks to actually get a shot off? Because if that was the plan, it wasn't a very good plan. He almost got caught like 6 times. It's a miracle he even got off the shot.
I don't think he was absolutely necessary. I mean, if they would have caught him right earlier, I think there would have. Either way, I think this guy from back here is firing at Trump, right? Now, Crooks somehow being in position just makes it a simpler, you know, patsy. But even if Crooks got caught earlier, I think the plan was still to execute.
And my non-professional conclusion, Mechanic, I know you didn't ask, was just so that for the Secret Service to not offload any facilities strictly to the police. They should have, police can be in charge of it, but they should have at least 1 or 2 agents with the Secret Service there observing the police. Because nobody in the police thought to alert anyone, hey, there's a guy acting really sus here. Because they were just police. They're just there to arrest the guy. They're not there to protect Trump. They should have had at least some Secret Service agents over there, 1 or 2 maybe.
Right. But again, this goes to the redacted videos on the Pac-Man perimeter.
Right, exactly. Which the water tower was outside of, even though maybe it shouldn't have been because it was such a high vantage point.
Right. The tower was out. Right.
Yeah.
The tower is outside of it, and these buildings were outside of it. Right. So if I do they have a, there it is, bigger, just a bigger view. Right. So Crooks gets shot on this side of the roof. I'm not sure why the roof is gray in this picture. I can swear it was white. So maybe this is an old image from somewhere. And the window is here. I think Crooks was supposed to be over here. But remember, Crooks is coming from that side. He's coming from the parking lot, right? So he climbs up, and now he has to make it all the way across the roof to be in proper position. Now, there's an open window right here, which may or may not have shot Trump. But then, unfortunately, this isn't zoomed out enough. And then there was like another building, 400, like 300 yards back within the same shooting line that could have also nicked Trump. The counter sniper, from my understanding, shot him from this roof. Not everyone thinks it was these guys because these are the guys in all the pictures. But I don't think they fired off a shot. I don't know what the hell they were doing. But I think it was these guys that ended up shooting Crooks. And no one paid attention to the tower. Like, this is just complete insanity, right? No one paid attention to the tower, and no one is still paying attention to the gymnasium.
Some people are saying Tel Aviv was bombed, but I couldn't find anything.
Jesus Christ, are we going to be live all day today? No, I can't.
No, we don't break news.
I looked on Twitter for Tel Aviv, and the last thing I see is from the 19th. So
Yeah.
2 days old. Who cares
It's
about
old.
news from 2 days ago at this point?
It's old news.
Did you see
Yeah,
that?
so,
Never mind.
right, so Bitcoin is taking a bit of a dive. Uncertainty. The moment there's certainty who's going to be on the ballot, Bitcoin should be fine.
Man, this is just so annoying to me that they spent 4 years telling us this guy was perfectly fine, even though we were watching him struggle to finish his
Deteriorate.
sentence.
Yeah.
And now they have the 25th Amendment, which the majority of his cabinet would need to invoke in order to use it. So he's saying, okay, we admit it. I'm fucking demented. I don't have the ability to win an election against Trump, but I'm still going to be in charge of the country until November. To me, it's just, that's a coup. That is, there's a Democratic coup within their own party.
And I'll go one further. I'll go one further than that, Mechanic. The fact that they did everything possible to not have a primary. They basically changed all the rules of the primary to make it impossible for anybody to run against Biden. Also furthers that it was like, well, we have an incumbent president, so we don't need a primary. It's like, when did that rule happen? That's never been a rule. There's never been a rule that you don't have a primary just because you have an incumbent president. We've had lots of presidents who have run against, incumbent presidents who have run against primary opponents. It doesn't happen every year, but just because it doesn't happen for a few years in a row. So they said, oh, it never happens. They completely erased history where, yes, the sitting president did have to actually win his own primary. And usually he did win without any problems, but just because he usually won doesn't mean you shouldn't at least have someone on the stage against him, someone who's actually on the ballot against him. That's even more annoying because being in New Hampshire, I was looking forward to seeing what happens with RFK's run, if he can actually make a run at it. And, RFK was probably going to win or come close to winning the New Hampshire primary. That would have made for such an interesting primary season with the Democrats. They really screwed up because it could have actually helped the Democrats if there was excitement on their side with their primary race. It might have actually helped the Democrats, but they don't care about winning. They just want to keep their power. That's all it is. But
there's also there's a bunch of angles to it. If you you're gonna have to suspend your disbelief that it was an inside job, the assassination. But if I'm not asking you to take a leap of faith, but bear with me at least. If you're going to kill someone because you just want them dead, you don't assassinate them in public and leave all this dirty laundry lying around. You just slip something in their food or make them have a heart attack or something like that, and they end up dead that way. So there's a performative element to what they're doing here, which is designed for a certain psychological effect. And the point is to be kind of brazen with it and say, and call people's bluff, essentially, because the best we have is January 6th, which was pretty toothless, right? And so all this is to say, if you're going to be a complete joke and rig the election and make it, make everyone so incredulous that you could actually win. We're already supposed to believe Biden got the most votes in history. And
hey guys, I really, we've been on for almost 3 hours. I really want to wrap it up. I really don't want to talk about Biden.
Fair enough. What do you want to talk about?
No, nothing. I want to call it a day. I got too much shit to do today, and the news just don't stop. I may go live. Shoot, if I have time later today, just like a 10-minute video summarizing, because again, I was going through all these videos on what happened with the shooting, and I want to come up with my own most plausible scenario, which I kind of done, and I've already kind of still thinking through it. I'll think through it for the rest of the day, and then I may just go live for 10 minutes just to sum it all up on what I think happened with the Trump shooting, in my non-professional opinion.
One sentence. If the Democrats want to win the election, they would nominate RFK, but they don't. But the Democrat Party doesn't want to win the election. They just want to keep the party within their own party, keep the power within their own party. So they're going to nominate someone stupid like Kamala or Hillary or something like that.
All right. My final sentence, if I can have that long, is you have a party that doesn't care about apparent legitimacy. It's more about Yuri Bezmenov style demoralization and saying, we can rig this thing and there's nothing you can do about it. Go ahead in January 6th if you want, see what happens. And as long as everyone has Netflix and Uber Eats, nothing will actually happen. No one's actually going to have a civil war over it, and they're just going to slowly make everyone accept the fact that everyone in charge is lying and everyone in charge is brazenly murdering people without any sort of due process. And they're just making it normal. I think that's the agenda.
Agreed. That's a good point.
All right. Sorry, Mechanic. I cut you off, but Yeah, we'll do another one of these streams soon. This was on way longer than I planned on, but yeah, we covered good topics.
Thanks for having us, mate. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Tom.
guys. Bye.